Chapter 974. When the moon crept up from the east, the fleet was already brightly lit. Singing, dancing, drinking games, poetry, and the aroma of barbecue and hot pot mixed together and permeated the night sky. It didn't feel like the emperor was on an inspection tour, but more like a party on a flower boat. Feng Qiao Zhengyi and the others were currently hiding in the cabin, eating biscuits and drinking water while learning the techniques that they had spent a lot of money to buy. This was what Wang Wan appreciated, but that didn't mean that she would let it go. The three of them listened to the commotion outside and felt an indescribable irritation in their hearts. They wanted to rush out and shut everyone up, or even let a group of pirates take this opportunity to rush onto the ship and kill the Tang Emperor and Zhang Wang's 11 children. However, they were very clear that there was no chance for a sneak attack. Behind the scenes of singing and dancing, there were many people who were working harder than them. Not to mention eating biscuits, even breathing needed to be controlled. There were layers of defenses, not leaving any blind spots. Xiao Bei and the others didn't come up with a good idea even after dinner. They decided to go to sleep first and rest up before discussing and doing their homework for the day. Empress Wang also coaxed the child to sleep. Even when the child was fast asleep, she sang a lullaby over and over again. Every time her gaze swept across the child's peaceful face, a smile would appear on her face. Li Longji was very happy today, so he drank a little too much. He gathered with Gao Lishe and a group of eunuchs and palace maids to brag. The palace maids and eunuchs rarely saw the emperor like this, so they carefully accompanied him and occasionally praised him. They waited for a long time, but the generals who couldn't wait for the military selections to find their opponents and compete on a small sand table. Often, a general would rush out of his own room and scold his opponent for being shameless. He wanted to turn the military battle into a one-on-one duel between generals. The technicians of the Ministry of Works gathered in groups of 3 to 5 to discuss new techniques. Some simply brought their tools and ran into the steam engine room to accompany the machines. Only when they heard the familiar sounds of the machines did they feel at ease. There were many common people gathered on both sides of the river. The speed of the fleet was not as fast as the transmission of the telegram. Wherever they passed by, even if the officials knew that the emperor would not look at them, they still had to bring the people from the yamen out to show respect. The yamen runners also had relatives, so when the yamen officials were on the move, they would follow many common people to the riverside to watch the fun. When the days were better, the common people found that there was relatively less entertainment. It should be very fun to see the emperor's boat. The most popular was the woman whose child had fallen into the river and was rescued. When she returned home with her child, the whole village, regardless of age or gender, had surrounded her house. When the crowd saw her, she turned into the moon and was held by the stars. Normally, if a child fell into the water and returned home, he might be beaten by the men at home. However, the woman's husband didn't dare to do anything. He even spoke softly. There was nothing he could do. After all, the woman had met the emperor. In the future, the power structure of the family might change. While the woman was answering other people's questions, she took out the gifts that people had given her when she got off the boat and distributed them to the villagers. There were pieces of cloth that were tied together, and there were also pieces of candy that were put in a small bag. They were all gifts. When the people in the inner courtyard sent the gifts, they explained to the woman that after meeting the emperor, they must be surrounded and asked when they returned to the village. If they didn't send some gifts, wouldn't it seem that the emperor was too stingy? They also told the woman that when she came back, she should be realistic and not exaggerate. The woman did speak the truth, but no matter how realistic the scene was, it couldn't escape from exaggeration. That person jumped down from the boat like a dumpling. The life-saving equipment flew all over the sky. The most amazing scene was when Xiao Bei flung his clothes in the air and jumped into the water. As a result, Xiao Bei gained the title of Treading Waves Red Dragon. The lively and peaceful days passed just like that. After the fleet went down the Yellow River and entered the sea, they finally arrived at Jili Prefecture. The military examination that the generals were looking forward to was still not held. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were so busy that they couldn't find the time. They could only postpone the examination again and again. They made the generals deeply understand what it meant to be vigorous in the first spurt of energy, weak in the second, and exhausted in the third. They were really physically and mentally exhausted. They couldn't force Wang Wan to compete with them because the military examination wasn't like the literary examination. They had to answer questions in the examination room for 2 days and then wait for the results to come out. Since the military examination was a sand table, it was affected by the terrain and weather. A battle that lasted 3 to 4 months was considered short. When it came to the actual competition, the sand table time was 4 to 1. No matter what, it would take at least a month. Therefore, they could only wait until Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan weren't so busy. Then they could compete. The sand table was on the boat, so they could go up and compete at any time. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan really didn't have time. They had to continue with the business at home. They had to read the research reports sent by the Ministry of Works, the Medical College, and the Western Agriculture Temple. They had to check the deposit and loan records of the bank, verify the disaster situation in various places, and then allocate resources. They couldn't fall behind on the lessons of Xiao Bei and the others. Although they said that they were busy, they weren't. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan did it with ease. The main thing was that it was trivial and took up a lot of time. Since they weren't busy with the military examination, Wang Wan found that there was still some time left. She went out to chat with Empress Wang and still had some free time. Therefore, she pulled Zhang Xiaobao to do a detailed plan for the economic boom. It would be better if we had a computer. Writing with a pen is too slow. Where were we just now? Oh, right, the first industry to be impacted is the retail industry, followed by logistics, and finally production and raw materials. There are many problems involved in every step. Help me think, if you were a person selling pancakes, what would you do? There are suddenly more people buying things, and the supply of pancakes can't meet the demand. What would you do at that time? Zhang Xiaobao held a pencil in his hand and scribbled on the paper. After he finished writing, he turned the page and continued to write. Wang Wan did the same. It wasn't because the writing speed of the brush was slow, but because the ink dried slowly. If one wasn't careful, they could draw. Moreover, it wasn't easy to change. Unlike a pencil, which could be easily erased with an eraser, if the brush made a mistake, they had to paste a layer of paper on it. How troublesome. Wang Wan stopped and rubbed her wrists. She replied, "If it were me, I would take the opportunity to find more people and expand the scale. When other people in the same industry raise the price, I would make a name for myself and spend energy to improve the taste of my pancakes. At that time, my business would become bigger and bigger, and it would be difficult for others to do it. It's not that my pancakes are the best, but because my price has not changed, there are many people who buy my pancakes, and they are used to the taste of my pancakes. Then, I would advertise that other people's pancakes are not authentic. Yes, some people expand the scale, and some people raise the price. I am happy to see the first situation. As for the second, we can't let the price increase too much. Write a supplementary analysis and put it in the appendix." Zhang Xiaobao lowered his head and continued to write. Wang Wan put the paper in her hand aside for the time being and took the paper again. She started to analyze. She knew what Zhang Xiaobao meant. He wanted to make some people temporarily unemployed. It was not absolute unemployment, but relative unemployment. There were jobs, but they were not earning enough, so they did not want to work. The timing of unemployment had to be grasped well. It could not be too early. If it was too early, many people would lose their jobs, and that would be called an economic crisis. If it was too late, it would not have an effect. It could only be controlled to 1 month of unemployment. After 1 month, the imperial court would recruit people to help transport supplies to the front line of the attack on Duoshi, and to the smarter people in the same industry. There was a time difference between annexation and integration, so that they could complete the primitive accumulation of capital. What needed to be analyzed was the speed of research by the Ministry of Works and the Sea Agricultural Temple. When the war ended, these unemployed people would lose the advantage of returning to their original industry and continue to compete. It would not be easy for them to do business. Then, they would have to find new jobs for them. The Ministry of Works would release the technology, and the Sea Agricultural Temple would prepare the seeds of crops that could be used to extract industrial raw materials. They would need to cultivate more agricultural talents and go down to guide them. At the very least, they could not let the pancake seller not be able to buy materials. This process would create many problems, both good and bad. On the one hand, in the collective workshop, the waste of raw materials would be reduced. Correspondingly, the environmental pollution would also be reduced. On the other hand, the gap between the rich and the poor would be easily widened, making many people feel that it was unfair. He would not think about it. In the past, when he ate, he could only eat 2 meals a day, and he did not dare to casually eat white flour. He could only eat corn. But now, he could eat meat every day, rice, and steamed buns for every meal. He would only think why. The steamed buns he ate were not as good as the soup. Some people did not even like to eat steamed buns. His life was too bad. It was better in the past. In the past, a bucket of rice only cost 25 copper coins. Now, it was 50 copper coins. He could barely afford to eat. As for the fact that he was earning 5 times more money than before, he would not mention it. What he saw was that some people were earning 500 times more than before. They could not even compare to others in terms of food, clothing, housing, and transportation. Food was expensive, and they were earning so much less than others. What kind of country was this? This was all trouble. Wang Wan was also very distressed, but she could not stop it. She had not experienced what communism was like. Distribution according to one's needs. She did not know if wives and husbands could be distributed according to the needs of men and women. Since she could not make the Tang Empire turn into a communist country, she could only try her best to control the situation with Zhang Xiaobao to gradually make the lives of the people better. As for the lives of the smart and hard-working people, that was fine. The only thing to control was the officials. She tried hard to prevent the officials from embezzling, accepting bribes, and using public power for personal gain. She did not want to intensify more conflicts and create more suitable positions for the unintelligent people. For example, some people could only do well under the leadership of others. They were willing to do things, but they could not think of ideas by themselves. Then let them work for others. They would be the employee, and others would be the boss. Then, they would raise the minimum wage and let them earn more. The boss would earn less on average. If any boss did not agree, they would directly stop their business. The Tang Empire is still the best. Wang Wan praised as she thought about it. It is good. Zhang Xiaobao was also thinking about the same thing. He said casually, when the thief is caught, he still knows shame. The officials who have received feudal moral education still know to listen to the emperor. The people who do business are still willing to take out money for the school in order to obtain good evidence. The people also have their pride and are not willing to take other people's things for free. Of course, the most important thing is that they are still willing to believe in the officials and the emperor. Don't always complain. Since you understand, then work harder. Don't let the Tang Empire change. I have thought about it. The main reason is that the Tang Empire is better than other countries in the world, so the people are willing to work hard to maintain the dignity of this country. What Wang Wan did not want to hear the most was Zhang Xiaobao's sarcastic words. It was probably related to the difference in life experience. That's right, that's right. The environment is very important. The classes of the top students usually have better grades than the ordinary classes because they have to ensure their status. Let's just let the common people of Great Tang suffer. I have a plan for the construction of a railway here. Help me take a look and see what's missing. Zhang Xiaobao continued to prepare the materials as he spoke. Wang Wan was also busy. The rustling of pen on paper could be heard in the cabin. When dawn broke in the east, the singing and dancing had stopped. There were people waiting on the shore for the fleet to dock and then help to unload things. Last night, Li Longji was drunk again. He got up with dry mouth and drank a big bowl of clear soup. He rubbed his temples and asked, "I didn't blow on my hair yesterday, right?" The eunuch immediately replied, "No, your majesty is telling the truth. Yesterday, I said that there was a thing that could carry me in the sky from the capital to Jili in 20 hours. Oh. Li Longji took the hot towel from the palace maid and put it on his face. He felt much more refreshed and said, "You are also telling the truth. I believe that one day, the Ministry of Works will be able to do it because Xiao Bao and Cuckoo are more eager than me. That thing is called an airplane. They can use it to fight." "Yes, yes, your Majesty knows more." "I thought you were bragging," the eunuch said with a smile. "Pack up and get off the ship later." "I haven't seen what Geely looks like," Li Longji said while rubbing his stomach. He remembered what Xiao Bei said at dinner last night. Xiao Bei said that it felt good to fish, swim, and eat at the seaside, so he thought about it. When someone went to find Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, the lights in the cabin were still on. The two of them picked up the things written by each other and looked at each other. Then, they found flaws in them, put forward new ideas, and discussed. The land production this year is good. The price of food will probably be cheap. Let Chong Pingsong buy at a certain price. Don't hurt the farmers because the grain is cheap. Our construction group also needs to hire people quickly. When the people have money, they will spend it on food, clothes, and houses. Although a house is not equal to a home must have a house. I think that some people will consider that it is not cost-effective to build their own house, so they will pay for others to build it. Our construction group will push out a few model houses according to the environment of each place. They can choose whether they are cheap or beautiful. Different choices will have different fees. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the things written by Wang Wan and said, "Oh, then change my suggestion of asking the people to store their own food. You are more familiar with this." Wang Wan nodded and admitted. She continued, "At first, I thought that the people will spend a lot of money next year and don't have enough food. I was confused and forgot about Chong Pingsong. This way, Chong Pingsong can still earn some money to maintain the granary." "Xiao Bao, what you said is also not good. We will ask the people who are responsible for transporting supplies to the army to open an account with the bank. Then, we will transfer the money into the bank. This is very messy, and they can't see the money in the bank. Why don't we give them the money first and let them store it themselves? We can help them store the money properly. Don't think that the people are willing to do this. Now that you have brought Li Longji here, what are you going to do for him?" Wang Wan also pointed out the flaws in Zhang Xiaobao's plan and asked about Li Longji's arrangement. Zhang Xiaobao yawned and turned his head. It was bright outside, so he closed the document in his hand. "All right, it's more troublesome. If it were me, I would be willing to store it in the bank. I still trust the bank. Let's go, wash up and eat. After that, we will go ashore. Li Longji is easy to arrange. I plan to bring him to Tianqi to play. It's about time. When we return, the Yellow River will be blocked. We have to go to Shandong first, then take the land route to Luoyang, and then take the train." Wang Wan put down the document and rubbed her face. A night had passed so quickly. She opened the window, and the cold wind blew in. She quickly closed it again. The weather in the north is always fluctuating. Everyone says that there are prehistoric creatures in Tianqi. Let's see if we can find them. I don't think so. Why don't we think of a way to spread poison in there and kill everything? They will naturally float up. Actually, it's very easy to find out. In the past, we could send submarines and other methods, but that place doesn't belong to us. Let's see if anyone dares to say that Tianqi belongs to them. I declare that the Chongbai Mountains and the front line belong to Tang Dynasty. Who doesn't agree? Is there anyone who doesn't agree? Zhang Xiaobao shouted at the window. All right, I give in. Stop shouting. I really give in to you. You didn't sleep the whole night and you can still come up with such a sinister plan. I thought you were going to drain the water. Wang Wan turned off the lights, got up, and walked out. Zhang Xiaobao followed behind with his head lowered. Who said I'm not sleepy? I'll go to sleep after eating. I'll get someone to bring Li Longji to the seaside to enjoy the sea breeze. When they met for breakfast, Zhang Xiaobao was surprised to see that Li Longji's eye circles were darker than his. He seemed to be very tired from bragging last night. Xiaobao, where are you bringing me today? Li Longji had already drunk a bowl of soup when he woke up. The water hadn't been digested yet, so he didn't eat much. After eating 2 steamed buns, he stopped and asked Zhang Xiaobao, who was eating a pie. "Your Majesty, follow someone to the seaside first. The water there hasn't frozen yet. Have a taste of the joy of catching and eating now. Go to bed early tonight. We have to travel a long distance tomorrow, and we have to walk on the water. We have to go to the place that belongs to Xinluo. Let's go take it." Zhang Xiaobao put down his chopsticks and said to Li Longji, "Is that place good?" Li Longji had already gone outside to feel it. The sea was indeed very big, and he couldn't see the end of it at a glance. However, it was especially cold, so he didn't feel that it was good. Whether it's good or not, it's mainly because that place belongs to Tang Dynasty. Don't you think so? It was temporarily used by the people of Xinluo. We have to take it back. If they don't give it to us, we'll cut off their grain. This year, Xinluo's cotton harvest is quite good. Zhang Xiaobao had calculated this matter. If not, why would he let Li Longji come? He would let Xinluo take the initiative to admit that the Qianqi Lake belonged to him. According to the normal plan, Chongbai Mountain belonged to Bohai Commander-in-Chief's manor, but there were people from Xinluo living there. They were mainly there to pick ginseng. The original Bohai Commander-in-Chief's manor belonged to Tang Dynasty in name only. Now that Zhang Xiaobao had taken it down, he hadn't gone to clean up the people in other places. Firstly, there weren't many people there, and secondly, it wasn't easy to guard against them. The place was too big, and they couldn't patrol it. That was why he let Li Longji come to the northeast to play. He wanted to strengthen the reputation of the entire region and let the people there feel that they truly belonged to Tang Dynasty. Since the emperor had come, it naturally meant that he had acknowledged Bohai Commander-in-Chief's manor. It was no longer awkward when he hadn't been acknowledged. At the same time, he gave Xinluo a chance to perform. He wanted them to be more proactive and gradually acknowledge Xinluo's status as a prefectural road of Tang Dynasty. In fact, Zhang Xiaobao himself could also force Xinluo to suddenly be willing to become a part of Tang Dynasty. However, it was too stiff. No matter what, Zhang Xiaobao was only a provincial governor, and not a provincial governor of Xinluo. Xinluo was a country on its own. Now that Li Longji was here, he could deal with Xinluo in the future. The nobles of Xinluo would be able to give face. Otherwise, if the resistance was too intense, he would have to spend a lot of effort to appease them. Another point was that Zhang Xiaobao wanted to get a portion of the Xinluo people to live here this winter. At that time, he would let Li Longji say a few words and establish a trade county between Tang Dynasty and Xinluo to encourage the Xinluo people to move to the trade county. If they weren't willing to come, he could tell them that the Tang Dynasty's grain output this year had been greatly reduced due to frequent disasters. There was no more grain to be exchanged with Xinluo. In order not to break the contract, he would use other things of higher value to replace it. For example, exquisite silk, strong and useful ironware, or exquisite ceramics. He would use these to replace grain and take back the cotton flowers from Xinluo. If the Xinluo people did not want to starve to death, they could only bring these things to the newly established county to exchange for grain. The county would give them some preferential policies and vigorously promote that Xinluo and Tang Dynasty were one family. Many Xinluo people would stay. Next, we'll let the Xinluo people who come over become rich first. Then, we'll let them go back and help promote. While Zhang Xiaobao was talking to Li Longji, Wang Wan whispered to Empress Wang about Zhang Xiaobao's plan and plans. Empress Wang nodded repeatedly when she heard this. Good idea. This way, we won't have to fight. You and Xiaobao are still kind-hearted. It's rare that you can't bear to use weapons against the people of Xinluo. Wang Wan was sweating from the praise. Then, she said to Empress Wang, Mother, we have to travel for the next few days. You have to stay in Jili province and concubine Hui. Otherwise, we won't be able to return if we waste too much time on the road. Li Longji was also asking Zhang Xiaobao, if that's the case, I'll be wasting my time on the road. Next year, when I go to Tibet, I can't be in such a hurry. I want to take a good stroll. How's the scenery in Tibet compared to here? There's no way to compare. They're all different. The only problem with Tibet is that it's hard to breathe when you reach the place. I'll get the Ministry of Works and the medical college to prepare oxygen tanks before you leave. Think about it now. The sky is very blue, the clouds are very white, and the wind is very strong. You can roughly guess. Zhang Xiaobao took advantage of the time when Li Longji was thinking about the sky and clouds to eat his food as quickly as possible. When Li Longji still hadn't thought it through and was about to ask him, he had already finished eating. The ship was going to be handed over to Xian Luo and Japan, so everyone had to go down. After resting for a day, they set off on their own ship. Many people at the dock had already started unloading goods from the ship. They were all local specialties bought from various places in the capital. They couldn't make a trip for nothing. The matter of providing goods to the locals was also considered. The people who drove the ship and the technicians who repaired it would be left on the ship. Under the protection of the gunships that were also rented to Japan and Xian Luo, they would head to the two places. However, the gunships only allowed Xian Luo and Japan to send people to watch and coordinate on the ship, but they weren't allowed to touch the weapons. When Li Longji and the others were about to get off the ship, the goods were almost unloaded. This time, Xiao Bei didn't jump into the water. Instead, he walked down the ladder while talking. "Brother, why don't you ask Xian Luo and Japan for an additional trial fee? We helped them test the ship all the way. With our status, we took the risk to test the ship for them. Shouldn't they do something?" That was what Xiao Bei said. Feng Qiao Shouji, who had already come down and was standing at the dock, almost fell into the sea when he heard the sound coming from above. Zhang Xiaobao was very gratified. According to the current development of the situation, there would be very few opportunities for his sister to be fooled in the future. "Xiao Bei, you have to remember that the friendship between countries can't be measured by money. We helped them today. Perhaps we will need their help in the future." If it were any other child from the great Tang, Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't dare to say this. He was afraid that the child would take it seriously. However, Xiao Bei was definitely not a problem. As expected, Xiao Bei looked as if he had been taught a lesson and said, "Brother, I understand. Actually, there's no need for the future. We need their help now. Why don't we ask Japan to send 50,000 more people to work for us to prove their friendship? In a little while, I'll go and discuss this with Feng Qiaokuan. I'm confident that he'll agree, and so will the Japanese. After all, the great Tang and Japan share a deep friendship. They'll definitely think the same and not reject us as enemies." Feng Qiao Shouji, San Ben, and Sanji all sat on the ground at the same time. They were afraid that they wouldn't be able to control themselves and would fall into the sea. Their hearts were filled with hatred. Zhang Xiaobao and his sister were really too immoral. They were clearly saying this for the three of them to hear. When Xiao Bei came, if they didn't agree, then they would be enemies. Xiao Bei didn't care about what the others thought. He happily followed his brother off the boat. He found the other 8 people and ran off to the side to whisper. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't sleep the entire night and were still sleepy. After getting off the boat, they didn't bother with the arrangements made by Li Longji and the others. They found a nearby place and the two of them took a hot bath. Then, they squeezed together and fell asleep. The busiest one was Xiao Bei. He ran around and didn't say anything. He just followed along and joined in the fun. Behind him were Li Jun and Pan Er. When the two girls saw that there were so many people, they also began to run like crazy. From time to time, they would be pulled back by Xiao Bei and pointed at something to teach them. Xiao Hai and the others could only protect them from the side. At the very least, they couldn't let Li Jun and Pan Er run outside of the protective circle. About 2 li away from the pier, there was an amusement park. It was a small amusement park. The bigger amusement park wasn't at the pier. The pier was deep and there wasn't a suitable beach for them to play on. Although the amusement park was small, it was relatively speaking. It had all the facilities that could be found inside. There was a merry-go-round, a high slide, a maze, a seesaw, and so on. There were also themed houses, crab-shaped, prawn-shaped, and so on. Amusement park. Amusement park. Speak. Xiao Bei brought the two younger children to the outside of the amusement park. He pointed at the 3 words and taught them to read. The 2 little brats opened their mouths and tried to say the words twice. Then, they couldn't do it and insisted on going in. Xiao Bei was helpless and could only bring them in. There were no ticket takers at the entrance, nor were there any ticket sales windows. All the rides inside were free. Li Longji followed behind as well. There weren't many people around to protect them. The guards were all monitoring from afar. The people in the theme park weren't chased away. Instead, they were checked over and over again to confirm their identities. Then, they were taken away from them if they were carrying dangerous items that could cause harm to others. Although it was winter, there were still many people playing. The children's faces were red from the cold, but they weren't willing to stop. They couldn't stand the cold, so they ran to the side where all kinds of food were sold to keep warm. This kind of place had a room to eat. It was warm inside, and there were radiators outside. There were also seats on the left and right to block the wind for the adults so they could watch the children play. In fact, the restaurant also had glass windows that allowed people to see outside. However, Zhang Xiaobao had discussed with Wang Wan before. Although it was just a glass window, the adults would feel that they were too far away from the children. If they fell, they wouldn't be able to help them. Therefore, they had to set up seats outside. The truth was just as Zhang Xiaobao had said. No adults who brought their children out to play were willing to leave their children outside, even if they knew that the amusement park built by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family was very safe and had people protecting it at all times. Li Longji looked at the group of children running around and suddenly felt very good. He asked the manager who accompanied him, "Why don't you charge them?" "I don't see a place to buy tickets." "Your Majesty, because it's a children's amusement park, if you charge them, the parents will choose what to let their children play. If it's expensive, they won't want to spend money." The young master said that he couldn't care if the Tang Dynasty's children played in other places, but he could definitely guarantee that they could play to their heart's content in the amusement park built by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family. Even if... "Your Majesty, please forgive me." The young master said that even if the emperor's child came to play, he wouldn't be able to show his identity in the amusement park. He wouldn't have a chance because other than playing, children also eat for free. What he can eat, other children can eat too. Even if he brought his own food, it might not be better than what the amusement park provides. The manager originally didn't want to say anything, but he still answered honestly. Li Longji wasn't angry. He knew that the so-called not showing his identity was only in terms of playing and eating. Jun and Pan degree of protection would definitely be different. However, if the child of a certain prince came, Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't dare to do anything. Seeing Jun and Pan being helped onto the merry-go-round, Li Longji asked again, "Can the money be collected?" "Your Majesty, it can. It's just that the amount earned is more than the amount earned. The people who can come to Jelly Province to play are either rich people in summer where there's no sea, or rich people in winter where there's no snow. In summer, people look at the sea, and in winter, they look at the snow." After calculating, it was found that the amount of money they spent to buy tickets, food, and accommodation is exactly the same as the basic cost of the amusement park. The person in charge replied. Li Longji didn't believe him at all. He looked at Gao Lishir, and Gao Lishir also had an expression of disbelief on his face. Thus, he asked on behalf of the emperor, "Xiao Bao created such a scene just to do charity for the rich people of Tang Dynasty? If you're saying that Xiao Bao is doing charity for the common people who don't have a good life, I believe it." "Master Gao is right. If he's doing charity for the rich, not only Master Gao and Your Majesty, this humble one also doesn't believe it. The little Gongzi earned money outside of the tickets. For example, Your Majesty, and you don't see snow in Jiangnan province. Even if it does, it won't be heavy. If it really gets heavy, it will become a disaster. This is because the people in the south can't be prepared for snow at all times, unlike the north, where they have to be prepared at all times." The manager continued to explain. His words were clear and respectful. After all, not everyone could accompany the emperor. Li Longji and Gao Lishir nodded slightly, indicating for the other party to continue. "Your Majesty's family is rich, so you want to come to Jelly Province to see the snow in winter. Master Gao's family is ordinary. He has a business. Without a foster son like the little Gongzi, when we sell tickets, we only sell one kind of ticket, a set of tickets. If the two of you want to come, from Jiangnan Province, it costs 60 strings of coins, including the boat fare, and 70 strings of coins if you travel by land. When the two of you buy tickets, you can't reveal your identity. This way, Master Gao will be willing to come. However, Your Majesty is rich, and you still have to think of a way to reveal your identity. Then, when you arrive, you can ask for a better house and better food and wine, and the gap between you and your family will widen. As for you, Master Gao, you have a child or other family members. You can't spend too much money, but you will definitely understand. After all, between the clouds and the water, blue sea, silver sand, and sea of clouds are such places, and our service is very good. We won't be prejudiced against you because you don't want to live in a better house because of the tickets you buy. When she smiles at Your Majesty, she definitely won't dare to show her 7.5 teeth to you, unless she loses half of her teeth. Ha ha. Ha ha. Li Longji and Gao Lishe couldn't help but laugh when they heard this kind of humorous and witty words. I know. The food and accommodation can be different, so you should be able to earn quite a lot of money. Li Longji nodded his head even more. This was his recognition of Zhang Xiaobao, which was Xiaobao's style. Yes, you can indeed earn quite a lot of money. Another thing is souvenirs. There is a type of free souvenir that is exquisitely made. Together with the tickets you leave in your hands, it can prove that you have been to Jiangnan Province. There are also souvenirs that have to be bought with money, such as deer skin, fox skin, tiger bones, bear paws, and so on. The price is very high. The little young master said that there are not many tourists now. If there are really hundreds of thousands of tourists in a year, then the fur of animals can't be bought with money. The little young master is afraid that he will kill all of them. It is too easy to use guns to hunt. Therefore, in the future, he will have to look at the level of consumption before he starts to breed animals. He can't let the children of future generations understand what kind of animals there used to be in Tang from pictures. Miss Cuckoo also said that when the day comes, the children will definitely not praise their ancestors for their bravery when they use advanced weapons to bully animals. Their weapons will be more advanced. Money can't be earned, but animals can be killed. When the steward talked about the little young master and miss, his face was filled with sincerity. Li Longji deeply agreed. Yes, we can't only leave behind people for our future generations. We have to leave behind other things. Other than animals and minerals, we have to let them know that their ancestors once worked hard for them. I, Li Longji, can proudly say that when I was alive, Tang Dynasty was the #1 country in the world. The children can curse whoever ruined it. Long live Your Majesty. The surrounding people said in unison again. Let's go. Bring me to see what food and toys there are. Looking at the things in front of me, I'm envious. I didn't play with them when I was young. Li Longji waved his hand casually and strode towards a slide made of snow. Chapter 975. Li Longji and the others walked into the amusement park. They did not attract the attention of the other visitors. They did not know the emperor was here. For this reason, the Zhang family and the Wang family would suffer some losses in today's transaction. They would use other reasons to investigate the matter. After the investigation, the other party would have to compensate them. Although with Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's identities, no one would dare to say anything even if they did not compensate them. A transaction was a transaction. The children ran around in groups. From time to time, they would run to where their families were and ask for food. However, before they could swallow the food, they would run off to play again. The concerned voices of their parents rang from behind them. Li Longji did not have many guards with him. The two swift shooters who were in charge of protecting Xiao Bei and the others were assigned to his left and right. After all, the result of the investigation was that there was no danger. After all, who would be so free as to come to the Zhang family and the Wang family's territory to cause trouble? If someone had such thoughts, the consequences would be unimaginable. Li Longji didn't walk quickly, afraid that he would bump into the children running back and forth. He had already seen many children fall to the ground with his own eyes. The children were all wearing thick clothes, and other than their faces that were red from the cold, everything else was covered. Their legs were not nimble to begin with. If they lost their balance slightly, they would fall to the ground. They would roll around like a ball before they got up and continued playing. There was no need to worry about injuring themselves. This scene made Li Longji laugh from time to time. While he was laughing, a child ran toward him and fell to the ground with a thud. The child was wearing thick clothes and could not get up immediately. He looked helplessly at Li Longji and the others who were standing at the side and said, "Help me up. Why are you just looking at me and laughing?" "Ha ha ha." Li Longji laughed loudly. He squatted down and helped the child up. Then he asked, "Where are you from?" "Lingnan Circuit. Luzhou. I'm 4.5 years old this year." The child was not afraid of strangers at all. He drew a 4 with his small hand. Then, he touched Li Longji's clothes and praised him like an adult. "Not bad. Good material. Oh, you even have guards and servants. You must be rich or high-ranking officials. Be careful here. Don't mention how rich you are or how high your rank is. Play with yourself and don't bully others." Ever since Li Longji interacted more with Xiao Bei and the others, he began to like children. He teased the other party. "What if I cause trouble? What can you do? Then I won't play with you anymore. I'll tell others to arrest you. If you dare to cause trouble in Governor Zhang's business, I guarantee that you won't be able to get away with it." "Humph." The child put on a solemn expression and warned Li Longji. Li Longji hurriedly nodded in agreement. That's right, that's right. Putting aside the officials, even the emperor wouldn't dare to cause a ruckus here. Even the emperor is afraid that the children of Great Tang will be unhappy. What kind of business is your family in? How much does it cost? You're not allowed to speak ill of His Majesty. His Majesty is a good emperor. He sent Provincial Governor Zhang to Luzhou. My family doesn't have any business. My father has been guarding the lighthouse for half a year. When he's on break, he brings me here to play. We don't spend any money. When he came here, he brought a lot of goods. They're all Luzhou's specialties. When I came here, I thought I'd see Provincial Governor Zhang. However, his family is in the capital now. I handed the goods to the people here, and they'll help me bring them back. My father gave me a beautiful tortoiseshell. It's alive. My father caught it when he was guarding the lighthouse. The others gave me tortoiseshell as well. This tortoiseshell is this big." The child spread his arms wide as he tried to show the tortoiseshell size. Li Longji knew who Provincial Governor Zhang was. He was not referring to the provincial governor that Luzhou always changed. He was referring to Zhang Zhong. The people of Luzhou only acknowledged one provincial governor. Based on the child's words, the adults would tell stories of Zhang Zhong to the next generation. Li Longji pretended to be surprised and asked, "A tortoiseshell? This is good stuff. Tell me, how's life at home?" "Sure. When we return, we'll stay for 2 months. Mother will give birth to a younger brother or sister for me. If it weren't for the fact that she's pregnant, she would have come here as well. How about next year?" "Next year, we'll come again as a family." The child was satisfied when he saw Li Longji's surprise. He was more willing to talk now. He was looking forward to having a new family member in the future. "Oh, then, when your father comes, who's going to take care of your mother?" Li Longji asked again. "Huh? Oh, you're saying that my father has to take care of my mother, right? My father can't take care of her at home. When we left, my mother was already living in that pregnancy place. There's? Oh, there's a professional who takes care of her. Our Luzhou is the best place apart from Sanshui County. Children are taken care of, and even the elderly who have no relatives are taken care of. Last time. Let me think, it was last time. There was an official in Luzhou who wanted to collect money. He said that he was in the hospital. Even the yamen was helping him. He wanted to collect something called fees. In the end, he was chased away last month. He was only given 1,500 strings of cash. That was because he was quite honest before this. Who asked him to reach out blindly. Otherwise, when he was done, he would have received at least 30,000 strings of cash. The child spoke whatever was on his mind. His little hand that had just finished gesturing his age was now waving 3 fingers. Li Longji nodded. He knew what kind of money the child was talking about. Just like Sanshui County, when an official was in office, he would do his job honestly and think of the people. He would not embezzle or accept bribes. If he did his job well, he would receive a large sum of money when he left office. In fact, it was even more than the money he might have embezzled when he was in office. In retrospect, there was indeed such a thing. The provincial governor of Luzhou had taken the initiative to apply for a transfer. As it turned out, he was forced to leave. His surname was Deng. He really did not know what he was thinking. How dare he interfere with the welfare system that the Zhang family and the Wang family gave to Luzhou? He was really bold. While the two of them were talking, the child's father came over. His son was stopped for questioning. He had to take a look at him. "Excuse me, you are?" The child's father was shorter. His face was a unique color that was blown by the sea breeze. He first glanced at Li Longji and the others. When he saw the rice seedling symbol on the chests of the 2 quick gunmen, he was relieved. Therefore, he leaned forward and asked. The adults were smarter than the children. With just a glance, they knew that the person in front of them had a good relationship with the Zhang family and the Wang family. Otherwise, he would not have been protected by the guards of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Therefore, their tone was respectful when they spoke. At this moment, Li Longji stood up and smiled at the child. "My surname is Li. Your provincial governor Zhang works for me. This time, I'm here with Xiao Bao and Cuckoo to take a look. I don't intend to alarm too many people." Li Longji had hinted that the other party would understand. The child's father was indeed smart. His mouth opened in shock, but he quickly covered it with his hand. The shock in his eyes did not diminish as he nodded repeatedly. Li Longji continued to say, "I know it's tough to guard the lighthouse. When the sea breeze is strong, it will bring a storm into the lighthouse. You have to protect the light so that it won't go out. You also have to prepare food and lodging for the people on the ship. It's all thanks to your hard work that Great Tang is able to prosper. Thank you for your hard work." The child's father shook his head repeatedly. "It's nothing. It's what I should do." "Then you're here. Where are the little young master and the little lady?" "They're asleep. They've been busy the entire night. They might come in the afternoon. I believe you'll be able to see them then. Since Lu Zhou is here, he doesn't even need to check on you." Li Longji could not help but feel jealous. When the other party spoke to him, he was respectful. However, when he talked about Xiao Bao and Cuckoo, he was friendly. He did not hide the anticipation in his eyes at all. The child's father was delighted when he heard this. He. Coming in the afternoon? I'm not going back to my place. I'll bring the child in to eat and wait. It's worth it. I'll tell them when I get back. They'll be so envious." Li Longji wanted to say that he was already envious. He was not envious that he could see Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. He was envious that the people of Luzhou still remembered them even though they had left Luzhou for so many years. "Your Majesty, shall we take a walk in that direction?" Gao Lishe spoke from the side. He could not tell the child's father to stop wasting the emperor's time. He could only remind him indirectly. "Yes, Your Majesty. Please take a look around. I'll bring the child in to eat. It's a blessing. The child's father led the child in the direction of the house. Li Longji stood where he was as he reminisced about the past. He said, "Blessing. This is Xiao Bao and Cuckoo's blessing. It's also my blessing. I heard there's an even bigger amusement park at Shallow Beach. I'll go take a look later." There are always people who say that I'm biased toward Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. I've always wondered if I'm really biased toward them. Now that I've thought it through, I won't talk about Xiao Bao's economic capabilities or Cuckoo's military capabilities. I'll only talk about why the people in the places where they used to live have better lives and are more loyal to Tang. It's not that I'm biased toward Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. It's just that the people in the places they govern favor me too much. Gao Lishe stood at the side and agreed. Your Majesty is right. If every local official had such capabilities, Your Majesty would also favor them. Your Majesty's preference is the people's will. Your Majesty, why don't you go and play on the merry-go-round? Li Longji followed Gao Lishe's words and looked at the merry-go-round. He found that there were only children. He shook his head helplessly. I don't want to be surrounded. The slide in front looks good. There are adults playing. I'll go and play. As they spoke, the group walked toward the slide. The slide was really made of snow. The slope wasn't steep, but the distance was very long. Those who wanted to play had to wear a special hat. The hat not only protected the head from being hit, but also prevented the snow from entering the clothes. At the top of the slide, there was a row of skateboards for sitting. The skateboards had almost no edges. All the possible edges were curved, giving people the impression that they were round, even if the skateboards weren't round. After the family of three sat on the skateboard and reached the bottom amidst the cheers, the people above allowed the second skateboard to be placed. There were quite a few people waiting. Fortunately, there were many slides. With a row, there were roughly 20 of them. Everyone who wanted to play didn't have to wait too long. After another 3 people slid down, Li Longji was finally placed in position. He adjusted his position according to the instructions of the person in charge of the skateboards. Many people were worried about him as he slid down. There were already people below to protect him. They felt very helpless. Why did the emperor have to play this? It was too torturous. When he reached the bottom, Li Longji patted the snow off his body. He was very happy. He looked around and suddenly asked, "Where did Xiao Bei and the others go?" They brought Jun and Pan to play with something good. Gao Lishe also realized that Xiao Bei and the others were nowhere to be seen. He replied according to what Xiao Bei said. When Li Longji asked about Xiao Bei and the others were playing with snowmen. Xiao Bei and the others were in charge of designing and building the snowmen. Jun and Pan were running around the snowmen. Occasionally, they would stop and help sprinkle 2 handfuls of snow. They were very happy. This was the second place for children to build snowmen. The first place was filled with snowmen. In front of each snowman was written the name of the person who made it. It had to be left for next spring. There was also a person in charge of drawing the snowmen. They would help draw the children and snowmen together on a piece of paper as a souvenir. The numbered snowmen were left for the children for a year. If they came back next winter, they could build another snowman in the original position. If they didn't come back, then there would be no more. If they came year after year, then so be it. It was also a way to promote sales. If you were really rich, then you could rent a spot for a long time. The price wasn't cheap. Xiao Bei found a place that could be rented for a long time. However, she wouldn't pay a single copper coin. Who let it be her family's business? She planned to build 11 snowmen in one day, 1 for each person. While she and her brothers and sisters were building snowmen, there were also 3 children building snowmen. Not only were they slow, but they also didn't look good. It wasn't because there were few people, but because they didn't have a professional designer. When they cooperated, they couldn't reach a tacit understanding. On Xiao Bei's side, Xiao Zhu drew a 3-dimensional perspective. Xiao Hai did the calculations, and the others followed the design. They were fast and organized. It didn't take long for them to make a cone of a snowman's body. When the time came, they still had to remove the extra parts. They had to put a head on it first. The 3 children next to them had been there for a long time. They were so cold that their noses were running. The medical staff next to them took their pulse, took their temperature, and made each of them drink a bowl of medicinal soup. Only then did they dare to let them continue playing. The 3 children didn't even have time to roll a large snowball, let alone a base. The child in the lead looked to be around 10 years old. Seeing Xiao Bei's group of younger children working so fast, he became anxious. When Xiao Bei and the others made a slope and sent a large snowball to be used as the head of the snowman, the child in the lead finally couldn't stand it anymore. He rushed over and kicked Xiao Bei's snowman. Xiao Bei's first reaction wasn't to stop the child, but to signal the other guards to not come over. Then, she watched as the child kicked the snowman until it was chipped. When the child felt that it was about time to stop, Xiao Bei smiled and asked, "This big brother, why don't we build a more beautiful and bigger snowman together? You guys are big and strong, so you can do the most important work. We are small, so we can help move the snow." The adults who were helping the children to build the snowman had stopped when they saw that someone was causing trouble. They waited to hear Xiao Bei's words and then looked at the calm faces of the 11 children. They instantly understood that the 11 children were definitely not to be trifled with. They were definitely the children of a large family, because the little girl was showing the demeanor of an aristocratic family. To be able to make a little girl who looked to be around 6 or 7 years old say such words, it was obvious how the other party's family educated her. However, the 3 children didn't know that. After the eldest child finished kicking the snowman and heard Xiao Bei's words, he thought that the other party was afraid. He snorted arrogantly, "Humph, no need. I see that you guys didn't build it well, so I'll give you guys a chance to build it again. You guys aren't worthy of playing with me. Alright, we'll continue, but you can't break it again. If you're not convinced, you can build a better one yourselves. It's not good to cause trouble for others. Actually, I don't think it's important whether the snowman looks good or not. What's important is that we built the snowman ourselves, don't you think so?" Xiao Bei continued to endure. If it was an adult who came to cause trouble, she would make the other party regret it for the rest of their life. However, she had always thought of herself as an adult, so she was more tolerant of the little children. The eldest child was embarrassed by Xiao Bei's words. He resentfully returned to his place and vented his anger at the other 2 children before continuing to build the snowman. Xiao Bei didn't want to pay attention to him. She came out to play just to have fun. She pulled on Xiao Hai's arm. "Brother, what do we do?" "Fix it. What else can we do? I'll measure how much snow needs to be added." Xiao Hai took out a rope and patiently measured the extent of the snowman's damage. After measuring, he said, "There's no need to add any more snow. The snowman we designed is round on the top and round on the bottom. It's more like candied haws. Once the top is done, we'll have to cut off the bottom. I'll draw a line and continue." Thus, the 11 children started to get busy again. Only Jun and Pan glanced at the person who destroyed the snowman with vigilant eyes from time to time. Their young hearts couldn't understand who the other party was to be so strong. They only knew that the beautiful snowman had been kicked. It was the first time they met someone who dared to stop them from having fun. They were very worried that the person would come and kick it again. The surrounding guards, disguised as guards of various professions, didn't come over. If Xiao Bei didn't let them, then they didn't care. As long as the other party didn't do anything that would hurt the 11 little ancestors, it was fine. Compared to the calm mentality of the thriving and strong protection team, the 6 Jinwu guards disguised as candied haws merchants were very angry. Which family's little brat was this? Was he tired of living? He dared to kick the snowman made by the imperial son and the eldest princess? However, since Xiao Bei didn't want to pursue the matter, they could only endure. They believed that if something really happened here, they wouldn't need to show up. It was fine as long as there was no danger. Xiao Bei and the others worked very quickly, especially Zhang Chong. He was strong and taller than the others, so he was the main force. After a while, the head of the snowman was done, and the body below was also in the process of being polished. Xiao Yuan went to get charcoal and carrots, and also asked someone to bring a small stool. He planned to ask Xiao Zhu to draw on it. At this time, the 3 children were still not done. The oldest one took a look. "Yo, you're quite fast." He walked over again. Xiao Bei was angry this time. Without waiting for the other party to come closer, he shouted, "I'm telling you, don't cause trouble for your parents. Try touching our snowman again." The other party was frightened by Xiao Bei's words. He also felt that it was unfair, so he shouted back, "Do you know what my father does?" Xiao Bei was stunned and turned to look at the others. The others had a depressed expression. Why was this the same thing that happened in the stories told by Big Brother and Big Sister? Chapter 976. Xiao Bei sighed helplessly and said, "All right, then tell me, what do you want to achieve? Even if you destroy all of ours, you won't be able to build your own. You don't agree with us building it together, and you can't do it yourself. From what you're saying, your father should be very powerful, so why don't you just ask him to send a few people to help you build it? Why do you have to make trouble for us? We're younger than you, so as an older brother, can't you give in a little?" Xiao Bei really couldn't bear to do anything violent to a child. She could feel it. Don't look at the other party's age. If she just sent out 2 people, other than June and Pan they would be able to beat the other party down. Since last year, the 9 of them had been receiving simple combat training from her brother and sister. In fact, it was just to train their bodies, but their movements were suitable for actual combat. Her sister always said that her brother didn't teach the 9 of them how to train, but wanted to train the 9 of them into killers. Besides, there were many bodyguards around. Bullying a child was really boring. But the other party always wanted to make trouble. It was too annoying. Whose child was this? So immature. Who was his father? June and Pan father was the emperor, so they still had to help hold the snow. Everyone was just having fun, so why did they have to be like this? Thinking like this, Xiao Bei was very distressed. The other party's education naturally couldn't compare to Xiao Bei and the others, so he thought that Xiao Bei and the others were more afraid of him, so he said, "My purpose is to not allow you to build a snowman. If you build one, I will break it. If you dare to tell the people here, I won't let you go when I get out." "Why should I? You have to be reasonable, right?" Xiao Bei asked. She regretted asking because she already knew what the other party would say. Sure enough, the older child said, "Reason? I'm the reason." Xiao Bei was a little dazed for a moment. She sighed that her brother and sister were really amazing. The story they told was too classic. That story really talked about the joys and sorrows of the world, taking into account all kinds of things. June and Pan were already pouting, but the other 8 children were speechless. Xiao Bei chose to back down again. "You're too much of a bully. How about this? I'll treat you to good food later. It's not sold here. You definitely can't eat it normally, okay? What can I not eat? Do you know who my father is? Do you know how much I spent to come here? Just the best room alone costs 50 strings of coins a night, which is 50,000 copper coins. Other than the room that is not open to the public, this is the best room. Do you know how much it costs to eat a meal? Apart from those that are not for sale, a meal costs 20 strings of cash." The big boy puffed out his chest, and his 2 followers also looked proud. One of the lackeys even said, "Even if our young master spent all this money, he didn't need to pay for it. In the local area, he could just move his hand and endless amounts of money would be sent to him. Officials, you know? This is an official." As Xiao Bei listened, his face sank. He slowly nodded and said, "I understand. An official, huh? What a powerful official. If that's the case, wouldn't it mean that you've spent more than $100 a day? All right, I originally planned to let you go, but now I know that if I really let you and your father go, I would be letting down my skin." "What skin? What can you do if you don't let me go?" The big boy was a little afraid of Xiao Bei's solemn and dignified expression, so he asked in a trembling voice. The lackey next to him continued, "Why, can you afford such expensive food?" Xiao Bei shook his head. "We can't afford it because we don't have money. I used to be a county magistrate, and now the county is nominally under my control, but there are too few people. I can't take money from them for my own food and entertainment. If I really did that, I would have to force them to death. So we can't afford the food you said, which costs 20 strings of coins a meal, and we can't afford to stay in your room, which costs 50 strings of coins a night. I can only stay in a free room, which is the room and food that you just said is not open to the public. Because my name is Zhang Xiaobei, and his name is Wang Xiaoyuan. Among the 9 of us, only 2 surnames are Zhang Yong and Wang. We are. When the adults who were helping the children to build snowmen heard Xiao Bei's words, a word naturally appeared in their minds. After counting the number of people, they were even more certain that this was the Tang Dynasty's 9-person patrol, who could kill corrupt officials and flick the emperor. The older child still didn't know the identity of the other party, but he felt that the other party was not inferior to him, so he asked, "Who is your father?" "Your father is now the Minister of Works. Let's not talk nonsense. Men, tie up his family's adults and bring them to me." Xiao Bei was really angry. Since the other party bumped into the muzzle of his gun, if he didn't teach them a lesson, wouldn't his position as an official be in vain? The surrounding adults confirmed Xiao Bei's identity once again and mourned for the older child and his family. This time, it was really over. "Mother, is that younger sister very powerful?" a girl asked her mother. "She's not powerful. Girl, don't worry. She won't bully you. If you want, you can build a snowman with her," the mother said to her daughter. The girl still didn't understand. Then how can she get people to catch people? This is the place of the Zhang Yong and Wang family. She can catch people anywhere here, not to mention the Zhang Yong and Wang family. There are bad people here, so she caught them, the mother explained. "Oh, bad people, I understand." The girl nodded vigorously. Since Xiao Bei said to catch people, the guards naturally wouldn't let the 3 of them go. They rushed over and began to restrict the movements of the 3 people. "Why? Why do you have people catch me? Let me tell you, this is the place of the Zhang Yong and Wang family. I can't deal with you here. Wait until we get out." The older child still didn't know how much trouble he had caused and shouted with all his might. "There's no need to get out. I can deal with you here. You actually dared to kick my snowman. If I deal with you, I won't be called Zhang Xiaobei. Kicking my snowman is one thing, but you even dare to talk about your father, an official. I want to see just how powerful your father is." This time, Xiao Bei let out all of his anger. Pan didn't care about these things. She pulled on Xiao Bei's clothes and pointed at the unfinished snowman, saying, "Su Ran, right, I almost forgot. You go catch them first. I'll finish building the snowman first." "Little sister Pan, that's called a snowman." Xiao Bei returned to his senses and continued to build the snowman. "Su Ren. Pan, repeated. "All right, who cares what it's called? Let's finish it first." Xiao Bei turned around and continued to build the snowman. This was a big matter. Catching people was just a small matter. When the first snowman was finished and the second snowman was about to be built, the older child's father and a few other attendants were tied up and brought over. The older child's father looked to be in his 40s. When he saw Xiao Bei, he was stunned for a moment before kneeling on the ground. He cried as he explained, "Lord Zhang, I'm innocent. I didn't know that my son had offended you. I'll break his legs later. You're a great person and don't hold a grudge. Please let him go this time." Xiao Bei curled his lips. "Don't talk to me about these useless things. Do you think I'm a child? Don't you know why I caught you? You're making it sound like I'm trying to kill a child. Say it yourself, where did the money come from? Don't wait for me to have someone take you out for torture. Don't expect anyone to protect you. I believe you know the rules. If you offend us, you'll be guilty and punished. Where did you get the money to stay in a room that costs 50 strings of coins per night and eat 20 strings of coins per meal? Tell me the method and I'll go find a government to embezzle some money. I have a feeling that this is faster than our candy house." Xiao Bei already knew the identity of the other party before he was caught. Jiangnan West Road, Yuan Zhou's assassin, Fong Kong, Fong Huaisheng. He had brought his son out to play. When he went back and forth, it would definitely exceed the normal holiday time, and not just by a little. Even if they didn't accuse him of embezzlement, they could at least accuse him of leaving his post without permission. Who would believe that? Fong Kong knelt there, trembling. When he was caught, the other party revealed their identity. When he heard that they were from the Zhuang protection team, he knew he was done for. He could even guess who had caused this trouble. It had to be his son. Because of that, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan wouldn't come to catch him. His son said that he went to build a snowman. At the place where his son was playing, he must have met Zhang Xiaobao and the others. At that moment, he didn't even feel any regret. He knew the consequences of being caught by Zhang Xiaobao and the others. In Tang, no one could protect him. He didn't even have the opportunity to bribe. Now that he heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, he really wanted to say, "You're just a kid. If I don't lie to you, who will I lie to?" But he knew that it was useless to say this. When he looked at his son again, he couldn't wait to rush over and strangle him. What a wastrel! He had provoked them and even sold him out. Speak. Don't wait for me to take measures. Speak frankly. Whether you live or die will be judged by the Ministry of Justice, the Censorate, and the Supreme Court. Of course you were caught by us. Naturally, you will be severely punished. I believe you understand. Speak now, so that you won't suffer. Xiao Bei had learned a lot of interrogation techniques from Wang Wan. This set of words was actually a copy of the story. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan told stories to their younger siblings, they didn't deliberately say it. Instead, they brought it out naturally. Jun and Pan saw that the situation had changed and were a little scared. They squeezed next to Xiao Bei. Only when Xiao Bei hugged them did they feel safe. They blinked their big eyes and looked at Fong Kong in front of them. At this moment, the older child who had his freedom restricted finally knew what kind of person he had provoked. His father had knelt down, but he only knew that these children were powerful. He couldn't figure out the background of the other party. His father was a fourth-rank official. He was in charge of the provincial governor of a province. Why would he be afraid? The surrounding parents thought that it was natural. Damn it, a corrupt official dared to come to Jilin province to play. Even if he gave a fake name and identity, he was still caught. It was true that the net of heaven has wide meshes, but nothing escapes. Fong Kong was very clear that if he really told the truth, even if his family was not destroyed, he would be beheaded. After all, he would die. He couldn't just admit it like this. He shouted, "Lord Zhang, I'm innocent. This official only brought the children out to play. This animal must be talking nonsense. This official admits that I've been away for too long. This official asks Lord Zhang to show mercy on the children's behalf." Xiao Bei was unmoved. When she really wanted to deal with people, it could be said that her heart was as hard as stone. This was because she knew very well that all the people she dealt with were officials. If she let them go, then many people would suffer. It was better for one family to cry than to cry all the way. Most importantly, she had heard too many such things in the stories of her brother and sister. The officials could come up with all kinds of reasons, but no matter which one it was, it couldn't change the nature of the matter. Therefore, Xiao Bei shook her head. "Official Fong, please hurry up. At most, I'll be a good man again after 18 years. Even if my head falls off, it'll just be a scar the size of a bowl. I still want to build a snowman." At this moment, Fong Kong finally understood why Xiao Bei and the others could become great Tang's patrol inspectors. It could be said that they were impenetrable. However, he didn't want to die. If he confessed, then he would definitely die. "I refuse to accept this. I want to go to His Majesty and sue you. What do you bunch of children know?" "Official Fong, don't talk nonsense, okay? It's not like you don't know our family's intelligence system. Isn't it easy to investigate you? What are you shouting for? Do you want to get sympathy? Do you think we care about what others think?" Zhong Chong was vexed and said at the side. The other children nodded. It was too easy to distinguish whether it was true or not. They just had to get someone to investigate. "I refuse to accept this. I want to see His Majesty." Your Zhang family and Wang family control the court and deceive His Majesty. I must see His Majesty. Where is the justice? Feng Kong still wanted to resist. Who wants to see us? How did Xiaobei deceive us? Us want to hear it. At this moment, a voice suddenly sounded. Li Longji also came over with a heavy expression. On the way here, he had already heard the whole story. Xiaobei had really backed off time and time again because the other party was a child. When Xiaobei didn't intend to back down, things became troublesome. Thus, a provincial governor was arrested. Li Longji could only sigh. Xiaobei was too sensible. A provincial governor's son could be so arrogant, but Xiaobei could endure it. How old were Xiaobei and the others? How could the provincial governor's son dare to compare to his father? It was clear how his family educated him, and he also knew what kind of people his parents were. When Xiaobei saw that Li Longji had arrived, she ran over with Junior and Panda. Uncle Emperor, look, he's really annoying, lying with his eyes wide open. I've already checked, they're all living in the most luxurious rooms and eating the most luxurious food. They're just short of eating bear paws and tigers. I've already sent people to investigate his family background. I want to see where he got the money. Also, his son said that he didn't spend his own money when he went out to play. What kind of money is that? Anyone who isn't an idiot would know, right? Jun and Pan were also saying things that weren't clear. They were expressing that they were very angry and wanted to complain. Through Pan-er's words of betrothal, the surrounding people also knew what was going on. The snowman was kicked. Oh, come Pan, let father hug you. The snowman was kicked, right? It's fine. Father will help you vent your anger. At this time, Li Longji turned into a father. He hugged his daughter and kissed her. Feng Kong still had some hope, but when he saw that the youngest girl was actually the emperor's daughter, he was immediately stunned. The emperor actually spoke like this in front of so many people. While he was stunned, Li Longji didn't care about his identity as the emperor. He rushed over with his daughter and kicked Feng Kong. Who told your son to bully my daughter? I'll let your son bully my daughter. Pan-er smiled happily. Her eyes narrowed into a pair of crescent moons. She hugged her father's neck with one hand and waved the other. Xiaobei's style was unmistakable. Feng Kong was stunned by the kick. Was this still the emperor? The surrounding people were also stunned. This was the first time they had heard of an emperor like this, and the first time they had seen one. But after thinking about it, they felt that this emperor was the real emperor. He wasn't a statue. When his daughter was being bullied, he was a real father. He used the most direct method to help his daughter find an emperor of flesh and blood. Feng Kong was kicked twice in a row. It wasn't that he didn't dare to dodge because of his status, but that he really couldn't. Li Longji was truly skilled in archery and horseback riding. He was very strong when it came to duels. After the kick, his daughter smiled. Li Longji said to Feng Kong, I'll give you a chance to explain. If you say that you didn't do what Xiaobei did to you, I won't kill you. But if you really did and you don't explain, I'll sentence you to one person. After you explain, I'll search your house and exterminate your family. This subject knows his mistake. Feng Kong really wanted to explain, but he knew that the Zhang family and Wang family's intelligence network were very powerful. They would definitely be able to find out. As soon as he said that, the surrounding people understood that Xiaobei didn't wrongly accuse him. Feng Kong took a look at his son and said while gritting his teeth, This subject deserves death. However, this subject earnestly requests your majesty to protect this subject's family. I'll tell you everything. I'm the provincial governor of Yuanzhou. But my words don't count. Even if I die, I won't let others have an easy time. Everyone understood again that Feng Kong's power had been taken away. At this time, Xiaobei said, You don't need to go to Uncle Emperor. I'll guarantee the safety of your family. Say it. If you say it, you may not die. At most, you'll be sent away. If you make enough contributions, I can even let you have an easier time when you're sent away. You won't have a bad life when you're sent away. When Feng Kong heard Xiaobei's words, he rearranged his posture and kowtowed to Xiao Bei. This official thanks Patrol Inspector Zhang. This official's family has been entrusted to Patrol Inspector Zhang. This official will tell you everything. You have to be quick too. News travels very quickly. Xiao Bei nodded solemnly and ordered, "Guards, protect the provincial governor Fong and his family. Pay attention to the investigation. I'd like to see who can cover the sky with one hand and temporarily block the telecommunication system of Jili province." Immediately, someone took the order and left. At this moment, no news could be sent out, at least not by telegram. Li Longji found that the situation was serious, so he also promised Fong Kong, "Xiao Bei's promise is my decision. I also want to see how many local emperors there are in Tang." Li Longji didn't need Fong Kong to say too much. He already knew what he was going to say. It was a big deal that someone in Tang could control the government of a province. But what kind of means did he use to do that was the most important thing. After getting the promise from Xiao Bei and the emperor, Fong Kong finally let out a sigh of relief. If the emperor and the Zhang family couldn't protect him in Tang, he didn't need to think about who could. Especially the Zhang family and the Wang family, whose reaction speed was always so reassuring. The parents around didn't know what to do. They wanted to leave, but the emperor's people were standing at the gate. They didn't want to leave, but they were afraid that they knew too much. Gao Lisher saw it clearly and said to the people around, "Today, His Majesty is interrogating the case in person. You can listen, but don't make a noise. Take care of the children." Chapter 977. When the people around heard that, they were happy. The emperor was interrogating the case personally, and they could even listen in. This was something that they might not encounter even once in a lifetime. Therefore, they all quieted down and gathered their children. Then, someone brought a stove over. The several families gathered around the stove to warm themselves while waiting to see what Fong Kong would say. This was a big piece of news. If there was a storyteller, he could even say something like, "The downfall of a provincial governor," or "Yuan Zhou, the same sky, but different face," and so on. "Sit." Li Longji sat down first. His chair was naturally different from other people's. He ordered Fong Kong, "This sinner doesn't dare." Fong Kong looked at the stool beside him and continued to kneel there. "Then I'll let someone else interrogate you. What if you melt the snow? Can the children still make a snowman?" Li Longji was still in the mood to joke. When he said that, Pan remembered that the snowman was not finished yet. She pulled Xiao Bei's clothes again and said, "Su Ran, tu Su Ren." "Good. You want to make a snowman, right? Make one now. Now, no one will disturb us. We can't even make a snowman secretly. You have to force me to reveal my identity. Do you think it's easy for me?" If Xiao Bei did not go to Fong Kong, how would he be interrogated? He pulled Pan and walked toward the snowman that was still a little bit away from completion. No one disturbed her. Moreover, everyone stopped what they were doing. Who dared to continue making a snowman in front of the emperor? In the entire Tang Dynasty, only she dared to do so. If Li Longji was not busy, she would even ask Li Longji what the snowman was and ask him for advice. As a result, in this solemn occasion, the 11 children were busy. Laughter could be heard from time to time. Fong Kong finally sat down. He lowered his head and told the story in detail. Someone beside him was in charge of recording. Fong Kong said that he rose from the county magistrate step by step. He rose from the 7th rank to the 4th rank in 15 years and became the provincial governor of a province, the provincial governor of Yuanzhou. But when he sat in this position, he found that he could not smoothly pass down his orders. He was either dissuaded by the departments or told by the county officials that it was difficult. As a result, he did nothing as the provincial governor for the past year. All he did was deal with trivial matters. It was impossible for him to carry out policies that benefited the people. Furthermore, he had also taken on a lot of responsibilities for his subordinates. Last year, he had actually failed to pass the evaluation. If this were to happen again this year, his official position would be over. Just as he was feeling frustrated, an opportunity came. Someone came to him and said that they could help him get some political credits. What he had to do was very simple. He just had to admit that a residential area was going to be built with the support of the state government. It was so simple, and this part of the house was not only for living, but there was also a lake in the middle for people to play in. There were also other auxiliary facilities, such as a supermarket, a hospital, a school, and so on. This achievement seemed to come too quickly, so fast that Fong Kong couldn't believe it. However, when he asked about the other party's identity, he couldn't help but believe it, because the other party's surname was Wan. This surname was nothing, but what was truly awe-inspiring was that this person was ranked 77th on the top ranking list of billionaires. Fong Kong understood very well that those who could enter this ranking list were all amazing people. In reality, no one was poor, and they could easily take out hundreds of thousands of strings of cash. Although the most amazing person in the world was not on this ranking list, but outside of it, it was impossible for that person to come personally to help a small provincial governor like him. Just like that, Fong Kong's heart was filled with anticipation and uneasiness, and he chose to believe the other party for the time being. He wanted the other party to give him something concrete, such as money or a detailed plan. He didn't have to wait too long. After the spring of this year, when the spring plowing had just ended, and when there was a lot of free time, the other party found people from Zhengzheng Construction Group and started to build the houses on that piece of land. He went to take a look and stayed there for a few days. After confirming that Zhengzheng Construction Group was real, he felt even more relieved. Thus, he listened to the person surnamed Wan and sent an order to the provincial governor, saying that this group of buildings was jointly developed by the government and Zhengzheng Construction Group, and that the people could live there. When summer came, because it was only a one-story house, the work was done quickly. Zhengzheng Construction Group finished building the outermost circle of houses on the land, and the quality was not to be questioned. Zhengzheng Construction Group even gave them a matching drainage system, and according to the plan, they built a methane pool for every 10 houses. Just as Fong Kong was feeling happy, the people from Zhengzheng Construction Group left, leaving a large area in the middle without houses, and even more so beside the lake. Why did they leave when they weren't done yet? It was a political achievement project, and he was counting on it to make his evaluation reach good this winter. If they left, wouldn't he be good, and could only go down? He could only look for the businessman surnamed Wan and ask him what was going on. The other party calmly said that the flow of funds was inconvenient, so it was temporarily impossible. He would wait until tomorrow, and he would definitely be able to provide the money next year. The Wan guy could wait, but he couldn't. He didn't know where he would be next year, so he could only treat the other party to a meal and confide in him about his difficulties. When the Wan guy heard this, he was also worried, but he also helplessly said that he really couldn't take out the money. After a few more meals, the other party finally helped him think of a way. The money couldn't be taken out for the time being, but they could find other ways to borrow money, such as the Great Tang Bank. Fong Kong went to help with this matter, and the result was needless to say. The Great Tang Bank sent people to look at it, and after looking at it, they said that it was impossible. This project was not profitable, and if they really gave a loan, the bank would leave behind unsold houses and not do it. The Great Tang Bank was not expensive, and the local government was not in charge. If they said that they couldn't take out the money, then they definitely wouldn't. Fong Kong was worried again. Just as he was worried for 2 days, the Wan guy came again, and he looked very happy. He said that there was another way, and that was to borrow money from the people. Although the interest was higher, he could still lend it out. Then lend it. Hurry up and go, Fong Kong urged at that time. However, the Wan guy said that he couldn't lend it out, because he couldn't even pay the monthly interest. What if he lent it out? His property had already been mortgaged to the bank, and the money could be used for other things. Fong Kong was angry. Since you can't lend it out, why are you so happy? Just as he was about to question him, the Wan guy said again, and this time he said a very good idea. Since the people couldn't lend it out directly, they could change it a little. Yuanzhou had a large forest under the control of the government, and the government couldn't use such property to borrow money from the bank. But if it became a person's property, the bank would pay for it as a mortgage. Therefore, they changed the idea slightly. First, the government issued a certificate of sale, saying that the forest belonged to a person, and this person would be the person who borrowed money from the people. He could use the forest to borrow money from the bank, and then take out the money. Part of it would be used to continue the construction of the land, and the other part would be used to continue borrowing money from the people. This way, they wouldn't have to pay him or the bank any interest. The bank's interest would be paid by the person who borrowed money from the people, and the rest of the money would be lent out. If he earned a lot, he could even take out a part of the money to help the government repair the houses, buy some office supplies, and provide benefits for the people in the government. Fong Kong understood the other party's meaning. The so-called benefits were money, and he should be able to get the majority of it. After thinking about it again, he gritted his teeth and gave up the large area of mountains and forests. He didn't take a single copper coin from them. He only needed to wait for the land to be completed before he bought it back. With this clause in the contract, everything seemed to be perfect. They were very impressed with the Wan guy for being able to use such a method. And then, the Wan guy didn't build the houses, but followed the person who borrowed money from the people? Li Longji asked when he heard this. The surrounding people were all dumbfounded. So this was actually possible? The Monopoly ranking list was indeed extraordinary. He had played a lot of tricks in the beginning and left with the money in the end. Impressive. While everyone was admiring, a woman's voice rang out from not far away. That's impossible. If that was the case, he wouldn't be able to enter the Monopoly ranking list. Everyone looked over and saw a man and a woman. They were very young, and the woman was beautiful while the man was handsome. When they stood together, they looked like a golden couple. The man seemed to be still sleeping and was yawning. "Cuckoo, why are the two of you here? Aren't you going to sleep?" Li Longji asked when he saw the two of them. "I've slept for more than 2 hours, so I can't sleep anymore. I'll sleep for a while after lunch. Otherwise, I'll be awake at night." This Wan guy's calculations are pretty good. Wang Wan rubbed her face with her hand and yawned as well. She asked Fong Kong, did he start building that place again, but not with Zhengjing construction? Fong Kong nodded vigorously. Yes, Lord Wang is right. He found a group of people to work on the houses, but they weren't from Zhengjing construction. When I asked him, he said that Zhengjing construction couldn't find the time at the moment and had to deal with it first. Otherwise, when Zhengjing construction came, it would be next year before they finished building the houses. That's right. In the end, he finished building the houses very quickly. Then, he realized that no one was willing to move in, so he asked you to make a compulsory order. He said that if the officials guaranteed that they would live a better life, so you did. In the end, you received a large sum of money, right? Wang Wan asked again. Zhang Xiaobao didn't have any intention to speak. This case was too classic, so classic that he didn't want to play with it. At that time, the officials had already learned to be smart. If they wanted to use this to cheat money, they would die of exhaustion. Yes, Fong Kong continued nodding. He sold the land for a very high price, then took the money and ran away. My mountain and forest belonged to the private bank. When the people realized that the quality of the houses they lived in wasn't good, they said that the officials lied to them and that it wasn't built by Zhengjing construction. Just as I was fretting, the people from the various departments criticized me and said that they would help me think of a solution. They told me to come out and take a stroll so that the angry commoners wouldn't destroy the yamen. I listened to them and came out with money. Some of the money in the yamen was given by that one guy. After Wang Wan heard this, she sighed and looked at Zhang Xiaobao. Why are you looking at me? It's not like I cheated. My methods are too bad. Why would I use such a method? That's scolding me. The private bank can't return the land. These are two different things. The private bank followed the normal procedures. There was no mistake in the review process, so naturally, the money should be released. Zhang Xiaobao thought that Wang Wan was blaming him and hurriedly tried to avoid it. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying that liars really cheat people. It's impossible for all the officials to be smarter than the liars. It's normal to be cheated. Don't the officials want some political achievements? How difficult is it? Wang Wan continued. Zhang Xiaobao continued to refute. He knew that Wang Wan was talking about him. Back then, his methods of deception were even more subtle and incisive. You can't say that. First of all, Fong Kong cares too much about his official position. He's afraid that he'll fall from the position of provincial governor. Second of all, he was not capable enough. He was actually taken over by his subordinates. What's the point of being an official? If it were me, I would have gotten a rope and found a good place. Of course, the local officials of Yuanzhou were even more foolish. In order to send Fong Kong away so that they could have more time to continue doing bad things and then push all the blame to Fong Kong, they couldn't have sent him to Jili province. Don't you know that we are in Jili province? The probability of being discovered will increase. Look, as expected, he was caught by Xiao Bei. Now, no one can escape. Let's all be unlucky together. As for that guy surnamed Wan, I have to check whether he is a fake. Maybe he is not in the ranking list, or maybe his position is higher on the ranking list and he is just using someone else's name. His childish actions were a provocation to me. Look at how capable he is. He knows how to deceive others, and he even played many tricks that he thinks are amazing. There's no need to talk about me. Let's just talk about someone with your intelligence. What's wrong with my IQ? Is it lower than yours? Wang Wan couldn't accept it. You're wrong. I'm not talking about IQ. You're better than me, okay? I'm talking about experience. Yes, experience. With your experience, if you want to cheat money, you're better than him. Zhang Xiaobao immediately changed his words. Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao and stopped asking about IQ. She asked, "Then what should we do?" Li Longji also looked over and waited for Zhang Xiaobao to say something. What should we do? Do what you need to do. Investigate Fong Kong. Don't let any of his subordinates go. Also, don't forget about that person who borrowed money. After all, he has signed the contract. If he runs away, we will issue a warrant for his arrest, Zhang Xiaobao said. What about that swindler surnamed Wan? Wang Wan asked. What evidence do you have to prove that he cheated? Is there a contract? If there is, he didn't follow the contract. Then he cheated and we have to catch him. If there isn't, we can only say that he bribed people. Similarly, we have to find evidence for bribing people. Zhang Xiaobao spread his hands. Fong Kong admired Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan from the bottom of his heart. Look at them, they could guess the ending just by listening to the beginning. When he saw Zhang Xiaobao talking about evidence, he interrupted. No, there is no evidence. Even if he bribed people, there is no evidence because he didn't give the money to us directly. Instead, he said that he would give it to the government for public welfare. However, he didn't ask for the receipt, and we didn't give it to him because we knew what was going on with the money. See? The matter is very simple. He didn't cheat or bribe people. Otherwise, show us the evidence. Zhang Xiaobao's words sounded like sarcasm. Then what should we do? We can't let him get away with it, right? Wang Wan asked again. There's nothing we can do. If he can cheat, that's his ability. Unless he cheats again and someone catches him, we can't convict him. Of course, you can find him, tie him up, and interrogate him. He might admit to all kinds of crimes if you really want to start with this. Forget it. If we start with this, there will be a lot of false and wrongful cases. I'll listen to you. Forget it. As for how the imperial court will do it, we don't have to care. Wang Wan said helplessly. When the people around heard this, they also couldn't think of any good ideas. If there was someone to blame, it was Fong Kong. He didn't have the ability, and in the end, he lost the land and the manor and even harmed the people. Hearing his words, they felt pity for him, but also felt that he was even more hateful. Xiao Bei, who was building a snowman, also heard her brother and sister's words. She turned around to take a look, then turned back to continue building. She didn't believe that her brother would let that person go. She just didn't want to alert the enemy. Li Longji waved his hand. Hand it over to the Supreme Court. Arrest all the officials of the province. Don't let a single one of them go. Xiao Bao, come with me. Fong Kong was taken away. Someone would help send his son back to his home, and at the same time, give him protection. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan followed Li Longji to the dining hall, intending to find a quiet place to talk. The others were busy again. Each of them felt that they didn't waste their money. Not only did they see the emperor, but they also listened to an extremely mysterious case. Before coming here, they didn't even dare to think that they would have such a fortuitous encounter. Xiao Bei and the others began to build the second snowman. The first one was already done. It was very beautiful and exquisite. It even wore a red scarf and a small cap. Its big eyes seemed to be able to speak because of Xiao Zhu's drawing. Although they had only captured one of them, there were still some bold ones. A little girl about Xiao Bei's age ran over from afar. She circled the first snowman twice before she moved closer to Xiao Bei and said, "You're so amazing. Even the officials are afraid of you. You're even better at building snowmen. Can you help me make one? Why don't you bring me along? I won't cause any trouble. Really, if you don't believe me, pinky promise." Xiao Bei agreed readily. She brought another person along to play and even pinky promise. She was like a completely different person compared to when she was talking to Fong Kong. In the end, more children ran over and joined in building snowmen. This was especially true for the dozen children who came from Luzhou. They surrounded Xiao Bei and the others and kept talking. At this moment, Li Longji and Zhang Xiaobao found a small room and sat down. Zhang Xiaobao ordered 2 bowls of hot soup and drank with Wang Wan. After they finished half a bowl of soup, they stopped to rest. Li Longji said, "Xiaobao, how should we deal with that one guy? We still don't know what his surname is. Let's find him first. A person like him will definitely do it a second time. When he sees that nobody is condemning him, he will continue to look for opportunities to make his move. I'll wait for him to make his move. If I can't make him bankrupt, I'll write Zhang upside down." Zhang Xiaobao placed his hands on the bowl as he spoke. Wang Wan chimed in, "That's right. If we don't deal with him, more people will be willing to take the risk. Who in Great Tang dares to be a swindler? We'll spoil them." Li Longji liked to see how confident Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were. He agreed, "I have the same intention as well. What about the people who were forced to buy houses under Yuan Zhou's coercion? Since they bought the houses, they can just stay there. It's not like they lost anything. It's just that the quality of the houses is slightly lacking. They just need to be renovated and strengthened. If anyone doesn't want the houses, I'm willing to add 5% to the original price." Zhang Xiaobao said nonchalantly. "Xiaobao, if you can add 5% to the purchase price, I'm willing to add 10%. I believe in you. I reckon the property prices there will rise greatly after they find out that you're interested in purchasing them." Li Longji said with a smile. Chapter 978. Li Longji had no doubts about Zhang Xiaobao's ability to make money. If Zhang Xiaobao said that the place was good, then it was definitely good. He just didn't know how good it was. When Gao Lisher saw the emperor making a joke, he also said, "Xiaobao, you have to leave 2 good houses for me as well." Unexpectedly, Zhang Xiaobao nodded seriously. "That's settled. Foster father, I plan to build your house in the water and create an island. Your Majesty's house will be on the shore. That will be a large piece of land. It will be useful when the time comes." When Li Longji saw how certain Zhang Xiaobao was, he hurriedly waved his hand. "That won't do. Why would I need to fight for a place with the commoners? So long as I am in Great Tang, I will be able to find a place to stay. There is no need for me to fight for a place with the commoners." Gao Lishe was also stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Xiaobao to really want to find a place. He also refused, "I don't want the house in the middle of the lake." "Just kidding. Xiaobao, you said that the house is good. There has to be a reason." Wang Wan knew why that place was so expensive. She explained, because a railway is going to be built there. If the population there is concentrated, not only will it be more convenient to manage, it will also provide a lot of collective resources. For example, businesses like the retail industry will be able to develop there. In truth, Hong Kong has done a good deed. When the railway is built there will be an additional station. Even if the local government doesn't directly support the local economy, it will still develop passively due to the concentration of the population. Nobody will be able to stop that. When the railway is built next year, the entire Yuanzhou will be able to rely on that place to develop its economy. That place will become a transportation and passenger center. When Li Longji and Gao Lishe heard Wang Wan's words, realization dawned on them. It was no wonder they weren't worried when they heard that the commoners were being scammed. They were only angry. Initially, they thought that Xiao Bao was doing this because he had a lot of money and wanted to help the commoners. That was why they weren't worried. Now, it was clear that this had nothing to do with Xiao Bao's money. Rather, it was the future development of that place that was approved by Xiao Bao and Cuckoo. If what the two of them said was true, Hong Kong should be praised. That was what Gao Lishe thought. He asked first, Xiao Bao, in that case, not only did that liar and Hong Kong not commit any crime, but they also did a good deed. Should they be rewarded? Zhang Xiaobao shook his head vigorously. These are two different things. Speaking of Hong Kong, his motives were good, but when he found out that something had gone wrong, he began to act recklessly. This shows that he is not capable enough to manage a province. Officials shouldn't complain when they are overthrown by the local authorities. If they don't have the ability, then they shouldn't sit in that position. If they can't produce results after sitting in that position, then they are really harming the people. What about the swindler? Gao Lishe asked. A swindler is a swindler. His motives are not pure. Although the result is good, in the beginning, his purpose was not for the good of others, but to make money for himself. I'm very puzzled now. Since he has the ability to cheat money, why doesn't he earn it himself? If he can really get Hong Kong to gather the population of that place, he can even control part of the local economy. Zhang Xiaobao had an indescribable feeling about this swindler. Should he praise him for being smart or call him stupid? Wang Wan was also confused. She said, "That's right." Why? No matter what a person does, there must be a reason. Even if he is mentally ill, he has his own inner world that controls his actions. Doesn't he know that once such a big case is exposed, he will definitely enter Xiao Bao's line of sight? Could it be that he wants to challenge you and feels that you are not worthy of being on the top of the list of billionaires? If that is his purpose, then he is too hateful. If he wants to challenge you, there are many ways. Why does he need to use the lives of the common people as a foil? Hateful, we also find it hateful. We remember that Xiao Bao has never refused anyone's challenge. In the game of Monopoly, anyone in the top 100 can apply for a challenge. Why can't that swindler just challenge Xiao Bao once? We are even willing to fork out the money, 1,000 strings of coins per person, and not to reveal his identity. He can direct others to invest and do business in real life for a few months, or even half a year, and see who earns more in the end. If he really wants to attract Xiao Bao's attention, then he can go and cheat the Japanese, cheat the countries in the southwest. If he wants to compete with Xiao Bao in trickery, does Xiao Bao have to cheat in the Great Tang? If that is the case, we will not agree. Xiao Bao's trickery is enough to destroy a country. Xiao Bao is not interested in the trickery of a swindler. Li Longji followed Wang Wan's train of thought, and the more he thought about it, the angrier he became. Did Xiao Bao still need to cheat in the Great Tang? If he really said that he was short of money, at least half of the merchants in the Great Tang would contact him and offer him money to spend. If what Cuckoo said was true, then he would not let him off easily. He was clearly a scourge. The people in the court were working hard to develop the Great Tang, but he jumped out to cause trouble. Gao Lishe looked at the soup in Zhang Xiaobao's bowl. It was probably cold. Feeling sorry for his son, he asked someone to send another bowl. When the soup arrived, he first said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Drink it hot. You don't sleep much, drink the soup to soothe your stomach." After Zhang Xiaobao took the soup, he said, "Could it be that he didn't enter the top 100? After all, it is not easy to enter the top 100. Any random person is rich, and he thinks that he is very powerful, but he doesn't have much money at the moment, so he came up with this plan." Then Xiaobao can't possibly say that anyone can challenge him in all aspects, right? Wang Wan said helplessly, "If that's the case, Xiaobao won't have the time to do anything else. He will be playing with them all day." Li Longji also started thinking about the swindler. Suddenly he said, "Could it be that he owes someone money and is in urgent need of money to pay it back? That's not right. He has been in Yuanzhou for a long time. It takes time to build a house, and it takes a lot of time to gather the people here. I guess he wants to do something big but doesn't have the money. Therefore, he decided to lie and use the money to do proper business. When he has more money, he will return the money to the people of Yuanzhou. At the very least, he can make up for it." Zhang Xiaobao lowered his head and drank a mouthful of soup before saying, "Let's not think about him for now. If he doesn't have the money and still wants to do business, he can get a loan from the bank. If he can really come up with a perfect plan like Yuanzhou's, the bank will definitely tell me. I have seen the plan and feel that it is feasible. Even if he doesn't have the money, I will lend it to him and let him be in charge of this project. The plan is truly perfect. There is no need for him to be a mortgage. I will give him a sufficient salary. So what if he is a manager?" That's right. Xiaobao does things based on the actual situation. This is definitely a good project. There is no need for him to be a mortgage. Let's wait until we find a person to do it. Gao Lisher agreed with his godson's words. Thus, everyone treated this person as a mystery for the time being, waiting to slowly solve it. Zhang Xiaobao gulped down all the soup, rubbed his stomach, and felt comfortable. He continued the previous topic and said, "The matter of buying a house for Her Majesty has to be put on the agenda. I think Xiaobei and the others are almost done with the animation. They have also made great progress in the research of film without taking any detours." "Xiaobao, I have already said that I am not buying a house. Are you thinking that the bank is not earning enough and you want me to sell houses? Then I will be too despicable." Li Longji was very unhappy when he saw Zhang Xiaobao bringing up the matter of buying a house again. If this is the first, how can the people live in peace? Zhang Xiaobao smiled. "Your Majesty is a good emperor. You know how to care for the lives of the people. However, I did not say that you will only sell after you buy a house. You don't have to buy too many houses. You don't have to buy too many houses in one place. You have to buy houses in many places in Great Tang. Otherwise, are you going to forcefully seize other people's houses? If you don't have a house, how can I help you advertise?" "Advertise? What advertise?" Li Longji was puzzled. Gao Lishe thought very quickly. This was because Zhang Xiaobao had already started to advertise for the emperor. For example, in the newspapers, every week, there would be a paragraph describing how good the emperor was and how the emperor was taking measures to care for the people. This was especially so when the money earned by the bank was used for disaster relief or road repair. They would mention that the emperor was personally involved in this matter. This made the people feel that the emperor was not only in the capital, but also by their side, constantly watching over them. However, Gao Lishe did not understand what this had to do with buying a house. He looked at Zhang Xiaobao in astonishment and waited for him to explain. "You speak. We thought of this together," Zhang Xiaobao said to Wang Wan. "All right, I will speak. Your Majesty, Xiaobao's intention is to record you on film in the future and make it into a movie. You will understand when the movie is shown to Xiao Bei and the others. This movie requires a special place to show it. There are also mobile movies, but we can't let people run around and show it to the people just to take a look. Furthermore, there is another problem at the back. When the time comes, the first movie to be made will be your speech. This will further raise your status in the hearts of the people. It will be best if you can suppress the political influence of our Zhang family and Wang family and consolidate the imperial power. At that time, the people will be able to see what you look like, just like a real person. Unless the film is not good enough, it will be better to make the people hear your voice and see your appearance. Only then will the Tang Empire be stable. Otherwise, when Xiao Bao and I make plans for the next step, it will have a huge impact on your power. What if I take things too hard and rebel? Ha ha ha. When Li Longji heard Wang Wan's last sentence, he laughed. If it were anyone else, even if they only had 1/10 of the power of the Zhang family and Wang family, he would still worry about whether they could rebel or not. However, when it came to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, even if Wang Wan disrespectfully said that they wanted to rebel to the emperor, he would not believe it. After so many years, the two of them had many chances to rebel, but they never used them. They also never respected him like other people. In fact, they would always do something to attack him and guide him, allowing him to see many things that he could not see in the past. He also never treated the two of them as real officials. In terms of age, he treated them as close juniors. When he asked them about the plan, he also treated them as close friends who could talk about ordinary things. This was a relationship that could not be accurately defined. Gao Lishe also laughed. You can't say this to others outside. We have to respect His Majesty. We have always respected him. Zhang Xiaobao continued, what we said is true. We are not joking. Because we need to wait for the Ministry of Works to improve a little. From then on, we will create our own heavy industry. Yes, we have even thought of a name. It will be called Great Tang Heavy Industry. Cuckoo and I request that this heavy industry must be in our hands, just like the Great Tang Bank. Because its influence is too great, people who do not understand the heavy industry system will never understand what it represents. Just like agriculture, it is the foundation of a country's survival. Li Longji sat up even straighter and carefully listened to every word Zhang Xiaobao said. Your Majesty, foster father, the most direct manifestation of the heavy industry is in the military. Every time a new technology is developed and mastered, it must first serve the military. This is a fact that cannot be avoided when humans first started using tools. The first tool that humans used was for hunting. Even if it was just a piece of stone, when it was first used, it definitely would not be used to carve art. If that was really the case, then the level of human thinking would be too high. Since it involves the military, it must be kept a secret. I really do not trust others, and I do not want to leave it to others. One day, another country will push out 100 cannons and place them in front of our army. Apart from the military, the second is agriculture and transportation. Last time in the capital, Cuckoo already told you too that diesel engines can be used to farm, and they can also be used to pull train carriages. This is called an internal combustion engine. When it is divided into sections, its speed is so fast that the two of you cannot even imagine. It can be said that whoever controls Great Tang Heavy Industry will control at least half of Great Tang. The reason why it is not all of Great Tang is because advanced weapons are not omnipotent. Unless you want to kill everyone, the will of the people will not change. If it does change, then it is because Cuckoo and I have not done enough propaganda for you. Zhang Xiaobao's words shocked Li Longji and Gao Lishe. Of course, what shocked them was not the words, but the effect that could be achieved. Li Longji knew that the Ministry of Works was important, but he had never thought that after controlling it and forming the heavy industry system that Zhang Xiaobao had described, he could easily shake a dynasty. He suddenly felt cold and asked someone to bring him a bowl of hot soup. Holding the bowl in his hand, he pondered for a while and said, "We understand. Great Tang Heavy Industry will be placed in your hands." To be honest, other than you and Cuckoo, no one else will be allowed, not even my son. We look forward to you quickly completing the Great Tang Heavy Industry. When you go back, release the notice and go to the original place of the Tujue. Xiao Bao, your father should not enter the Hall of Secretaries and should stay in the Ministry of Works. We will send another 5,000 imperial guards. Let alone people, even birds will not be allowed to fly over. Shoot them all down. Yes, 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 shoot them down. Oh. Let Shueyun go. We believe that Shueyun will not let a single bird go. It seems that we have to go to the experimental site of the Ministry of Works more often when we are free. It's too scary. Gao Lishe nodded vigorously. He never doubted that his godson and daughter-in-law would lie when they were serious. He was being modest when he said that half of the country was good. It was because his daughter-in-law, who was very familiar with military affairs, dared to use a backward military force to challenge the advanced guns and cannons. Moreover, they were full of confidence, making the generals feel as if they were facing a great enemy even before the competition. The simplest example was the sword competition at Mount Hua. Although his daughter-in-law fought fiercely in Tubo and his son did not go easy, many people knew that the sword competition at Mount Hua was the reason why Tubo and the Tujue gave up resisting. At that time, when the cannons were used, the confidence of the kings of the two countries was shattered. They did not know how to resist the power of the cannons. In their countries, there was no one like his daughter-in-law who dared to say that weapons are not everything. When Li Longji spoke, he felt that he could not control the great Tang. Fast, it was developing too fast. As the Zhang family and Wang family developed at an unimaginable speed, the great Tang also developed along with them. When he came back to his senses and looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan again, Li Longji was very worried. If the two of them suddenly disappeared, what would happen to the great Tang? Who would be able to manage the banks? Who would be able to guide the research of the Senongsi? Who would be able to command the Ministry of Works? When he thought of this, Li Longji hesitated and advised, Xiaobao, Cuckoo, why don't the two of you stop fighting Duoshe and let others do it? The two of you can stay in the capital. We can build a big and beautiful house for the two of you in the palace. When the time comes, the two of you can live there every day. Arrange for your family's protection team to be sent there. We will also send the Chamberlain of Imperial Insignia. Occasionally, you can go out and stroll around the East and West markets. We will allow the two of you to kill someone in advance if you suspect that they are trying to harm you. It doesn't matter even if you kill the wrong person. It is too dangerous to run around outside. Not to mention that someone is trying to harm the two of you. What if you have a headache or a fever? If you are too slow, you can easily lose your life. The two of you, tell me, which place in the palace is good? Li Longji felt that only when he could see Xiao Bao and Cuckoo every day would he be able to sleep soundly. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan glanced at each other. They were both touched and amused. Was there a need to go to this extent? Even pandas did not receive such treatment. How could they be killed in advance? Could it be that they were surrounded by bad people? Your Majesty, there is no need to worry. Cuckoo and I are fine. We know how to protect ourselves. The main problem now is that other people are learning too slowly. When more people know about industry and finance, Your Majesty will not have to worry anymore. Zhang Xiaobao consoled. How can I not worry? I do not trust others, but I trust you all. If others learn too much and cause trouble, what should I do? For example, that swindler. He did not have a bank in the past, so how could he come up with such a method? Li Longji retorted. The more he spoke, the more he felt that he was right. If he wanted to protect Xiao Bao and Cuckoo at all times, it would be worth it even if he had to use a huge amount of manpower and resources. Your Majesty, we will strengthen our own protection. It is not that we do not want others to attack Duoshe, but we need to do it quickly so that we can take the time to transport it back. If others attack, they will not be familiar with it and it will be a waste of time. Wang Wan persuaded Li Longji. Zhang Xiaobao did not want to persuade him back and forth on this topic. He said at the side, let's talk about the movie. This movie is very interesting. If one does not know the movie very well, it will be easy to mistake it for the real deal. Let's talk about how to buy a house. First, you have to choose a place with a relatively dense population. Otherwise, if others want to watch the movie, they will have to travel a long distance and waste time. Even if there are only a few dozen people in a remote village, you still have to let them watch the movie. Doesn't Your Majesty have a pear garden? Follow Your Majesty's pear garden to other places. The pear garden cannot be only for Your Majesty to watch. The last sentence was considered a criticism. Li Longji nodded sincerely. Yes, the pear garden is not my pear garden. It is the pear garden of the Tang Dynasty. It is the same as what you said about spiritual civilization. I understand immediately. You want more people to have more fun when they are full and warm. You can buy whatever house you want. My money is all in your hands. I believe you will not ask me to lose too much. There is still money left for disaster relief and road repair for the people. Oh, if I want to build a house, I will need to have money as well. There is also travel. At this point, Li Longji suddenly realized something and said to Zhang Xiaobao, Xiaobao, I was wrong earlier. I was not asking you to lose a lot. What I wanted to say was, don't earn too much. Especially when you are showing it to remote places, it is best not to ask for money. I was confused earlier. How can you do something like losing money? It is the good fortune of the people of the Tang Dynasty that you are not like that swindler. It is too difficult to ask you to lose money unless you are willing to do it yourself. Wang Wan laughed softly. Zhang Xiaobao was depressed. Was he a coin-making machine? However, he could not agree to Li Longji's request. He shrugged and said, Your Majesty, it is impossible not to earn money. I can guarantee that the people who watch it will not have to spend a single copper coin, especially those in remote places. Not only will they not have to spend money, but they will also be able to bring along the gifts that Your Majesty has prepared for them. In places with a lot of people, you will have to charge a little fee. Otherwise, they will crowd to watch it again after watching it once. Others will not be able to squeeze in. Such people are very annoying. However, no matter what I do, the movie will definitely make money. At the same time, it will provide a channel for others to make money. For example, there will be people selling snacks at places where the movie is shown. I can't possibly chase after them. What I can guarantee is that the fee will be very low. For most people, the fee will be low. For those who have good seats, the fee will be high. If I do not charge a high fee, there will be people who will specially go to those good seats and sell them to others at a high price. The most important fee does not come from this. In fact, this is also very important, but if you don't allow it, then I will not earn it. There is one aspect of money that I must earn. If I don't earn money, the merchants of Tang Dynasty will hate me to death. That is advertising. I have thought about it. Since the movie can create my appearance and voice, it can also help the merchants create the advertisements that they need. The fee will probably not be low. No matter how low the cost is, I will have to charge more. Otherwise, any random person will be able to take up the advertising spots. Li Longji's thinking was very comprehensive now. He immediately thought of this problem. He could even think of the advertisements that would be hung in the venue when the movie was shown. Yes. If someone is willing to do advertisements, I will not stop them. It will be fine when they make a television show. How do you make that thing? The principle is very simple, but the operation is very troublesome. When the time comes, Your Majesty will need to record at least once a month and then send it to various places to broadcast. Your movie will not have advertisements, and you will maintain a serious atmosphere. You don't have to worry about other programs. Cuckoo and I have a lot of good scripts. Yes, scripts, all kinds of scripts. But we will create a script that specifically highlights the beautiful life of Tang Dynasty. We will try our best not to reflect too deep of a social connotation. There is no need for that. We will create a series that praises every industry. Praises are not the goal. The goal is to let the people in the industries that are being praised know how much they have contributed to Tang Dynasty. This will make them love their industry more and strive for perfection. Even if he is a sanitation worker in Sanshui County who is in charge of cleaning the roads, Cuckoo and I will let him know how important his work is. Zhang Xiaobao explained his and Wang Wan's thoughts. The first movie to be released would not be a series. First, it would be used to show the glory of Tang Dynasty. He and Wang Wan believed that even if it was a child playing, it would still be able to give people a sense of motivation. Li Longji nodded slowly. I know. But sanitation workers in Sanshui County also earn a lot. Let's start with a less profitable industry. That's the teachers. They don't earn much, not much compared to the nature of their profession. That's because it's not easy for the teachers of the Great Tang to teach children. They pay particular attention to education without discrimination. They're not the kind of teachers who don't care whether the children understand or not after they've finished teaching. Some teachers also have to take care of the students' daily lives. The money they receive is actually very little. The students do not give them anything, but the merchants in charge of the schools provide them with supplies. In other words, they do not have much cash on hand. In the future, I will use your money to give them directly. How about this? After the movie is released, we will give them a portion of the money we earn from advertisements. I am actually very envious of children who can study in schools. When I was young, I am going too far. Let's start with teachers. Zhang Xiaobao also attached great importance to education. Or rather, he attached great importance to it. This was because the ones who were educated were children, and he liked children. Wang Wan smiled at the side. She knew that Zhang Xiaobao was thinking about the past. Zhang Xiaobao always clung to the windows on the first floor of the school. It was not that he could not go to school, but if he really wanted to go, he would be caught and sent back. However, he did not want to go back, because the headmaster was no longer there. At that time, his young heart was filled with thoughts of revenge. As a result, many people later died. For example, they were bitten to death by wild snakes that could not possibly appear in China. How could Li Longji know about this? He thought that Zhang Xiaobao was deliberately provoking people. He was very sure that Xiaobao and Cuckoo had received a very powerful education that was different from modern education. Just like Xiao Bei and the others, they were very smart. Of course, if he really knew about the education that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had received in the past, he would also feel that it was different. Wang Wan had a high IQ and received an aristocratic family education. How could the tutors she hired be ordinary people? Zhang Xiaobao was even more amazing. He often went to a different kind of university and constantly changed his residence so that he could learn the skills he wanted to use. That school was much more awesome than a vocational school. That school contained the top talents of all kinds of professions. There was no shortage of professions, from officials to thieves. It could be said that they had everything. Then what kind of clothes will I wear when the time comes? Li Longji thought about this specific matter. Zhang Xiaobao was speechless. You will wear what you usually wear when the time comes. No matter what you wear, your identity as the emperor will not change. Yes, yes. Even if I don't wear clothes, I will still be the emperor. However, I will not be like the story that Xiao Bei told me, where I feel like I am wearing new clothes when I am naked. If I really do that one day, you will be the first to be punished, because only you can deceive me. As Li Longji spoke, he laughed. He often told the stories that Xiao Bei told him to the other ministers. He used this to tell the other ministers that they should not deceive him, and that they should not expect him to get Xiao Bao out of the private bank. He understood that if others went to the private bank, they would either lose money or cause the common people to die. Only Xiao Bao knew how to maintain a balance. Therefore, no matter how much you praise him, he will still wear clothes. In winter, he must wear a cotton-padded jacket. The four of them had a common goal, so it was easy for them to talk. He was just a swindler. They could deal with him however they wanted. There was no need to waste too much energy on him. When the four of them finished their discussion and came out, they saw Xiao Bei leading a group of children to build the Great Wall. Xiao Bei did not know how to draw, nor did she know how to design. She left it to others to take care of. She only cared about leading the children. She could be considered a commander. Although she always said that she was not as good as the other 8 people in her field and appeared to be a little inferior, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood that Xiao Bei was the most outstanding talent. There were many professionals. It was just a matter of who could integrate and organize. It was a very profound skill. The Great Wall is really not bad. Li Longji saw that the short Great Wall had been built about 1 li long and praised. Although children sometimes understood things slowly, as long as someone explained it clearly to them, they would still do it very seriously. This was especially so when it came to playing. They were willing to spend a lot of energy on a pile of sand to continuously build their ideal castle. If they accidentally broke it, they would not be depressed and would continue to seriously repair it. The Great Wall in front of them was built in this way. The older children were in charge of rolling snowballs from afar and then transporting them over. They were next to each other and then repaired. The younger children were at the side helping to carry the snow and fill in the uneven areas. The Great Wall that was more than 1 li long was formed with the efforts of the group of children. As the children were not tall enough, the Great Wall was shorter, but the shape was not bad. Everyone, pay attention. You have to write your names on the Great Wall now. When you come over next year, we will have to do it again. Those who don't know how to write, raise your hands. I will get someone to help you write it. When it's done, I will treat you to something good to eat. Xiao Bei was still mobilizing and seemed to be very authoritative. Xiao Yuan and the other 8 children voluntarily handed over the position of commander to Xiao Bei. The other children knew from their parents that Xiao Bei was a high-ranking official, so they were also obedient. Didn't she already deal with a disobedient child previously? Hearing Xiao Bei's words, the children cheered and shouted their names. Those who knew how to write helped at the side. The words were written without any calligraphy aura, making the adults feel that it was very beautiful. As for what Xiao Bei would treat them to later, the children did not care too much. They just wanted to eat together. It was more lively with more people because the food here was generally free. The food here was in the form of a buffet. Children of 4 or 5 years old could carry a plate to choose. Every dish was specially guarded by a person. There were also people patrolling the tables from time to time. One was to tell the children not to stir the food in the large basin so that they would not waste it. The other most important was to watch the children and not let them eat the 2 poisonous things mixed together. Of course, the busiest were the cleaners. The children were carrying wooden plates, and there were too many situations where they overturned them. They had to be cleaned up immediately. Otherwise, other children would step on them and fall. However, the children who overturned the plates did not receive any punishment. The adults also smiled knowingly, making Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sigh. It would be great if there were a camera to take pictures. Your Majesty, let's go back first. When Xiao Bei and the others are done playing, we'll find them again. Zhang Xiaobao looked at his younger siblings and did not have the heart to disturb them, so he said to Li Longji, "The 2 of you go back first. We still need to go to the big amusement park. It's not easy for us to come out and play." Li Longji rejected Zhang Xiaobao's suggestion to go back together. He still wanted to look around and play more. Zhang Xiaobao did not force him. "Your Majesty, you should rest early today. Tomorrow, we will take a boat to the mountains. When we arrive, we still have to walk. We need to rest well." Zhang Xiaobao was actually afraid that Li Longji would catch a cold. If they really wanted to go to Heaven Lake, it would take 3 days just to travel by water. It was impossible for him to be tired. Li Longji nodded, indicating that he understood. After Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan left, he ran to Xiao Bei's side and asked him to play with him. "Uncle Emperor, we are just short of writing. We are all children. Why are you coming over?" Xiao Bei was confused by Li Longji's request. "Do you think we are also children?" Li Longji did not act like an adult at all. He insisted on bringing him along. Okay, you can write in the middle. Write Great Tang Great Wall, okay?" Xiao Bei said helplessly. "That's what I want." Li Longji really calculated the middle and wrote Great Tang Great Wall, the number 1 wall in the world, Li Longji, on the snow. The children cheered again. If it was someone else who wrote it, the children would be angry. They did not participate in the construction, so why should they leave their names? However, it was different when the emperor wrote it. He built the Great Wall, and the emperor praised it. It was the number 1 wall in the world. Xiao Bei patted the snow on his hands happily and said, "Uncle Emperor wrote the number 1 wall in the world. This wall is the number 1 wall in the world. Who dares to not accept it? Even the king of Xinluo denied Uncle Emperor. I will ask my sister to lead the army to destroy him." When the parents of the children saw that the emperor was playing with the children, they knew that no matter how important it was in the future, They would have to come over in the winter to help the children build the Great Wall. For example, if the neighbors and others asked, what were they going to do? This year, the answer was to go to Jili province to see the snow. But from next year onwards, it would change. The current emperor saw the wall made of snow by my naughty child in Jili province and said that it was the #1 wall in the world. This year, my child insisted that we build it again. There was no other way. He was like an ancestor at home. Sigh, it was not easy to be parents. It was just that people should be modest, right? Don't be too flamboyant. It was all the child's fault. Being disobedient had nothing to do with the adults. There was no intention to show off. Uncle Emperor, we are going to eat. It's my treat. What about you? Xiao Bei waited for the other children to write their names on the wall and asked Li Longji, I want to go too. I want to see what you are going to treat them to. Li Longji stuck to Xiao Bei. Of course it's something that the restaurant doesn't have right now. Even if there is no need for me to treat them. I will treat them to hairtail fish. I found that the restaurant doesn't have it, so I will braise it. Xiao Bei had already thought of what to treat them. Hairtail fish was the main dish. It was just right to eat it with rice. It was fragrant. Seaweed soup would be enough. It was quick to cook and convenient to eat. No matter what the children ate, it was better to have more people. They followed him to the restaurant and chose a large room. It was not open to the public. Then, they really ate something that they had never eaten before. There was a huge hairtail fish that weighed more than 300 catties. It was cut into pieces, and each piece could fill a plate. It was slightly red in color and looked very appetizing. There was also rice produced in the northeast. It was only cooked once a year. It was much more beautiful than what they ate in the south. It looked crystal clear. There were also spoonworms in the seaweed soup, also known as sea chickens. Very few people ate them. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew the value of this thing. There was no need to add MSG or chicken essence in a soup with spoonworms. The soup itself contained a large amount of those things. It was also the first time Li Longji had seen such a huge hairtail fish. He looked at it curiously and asked Xiao Bei, Is it raised by your family? Xiao Bei shook his head vigorously. My family doesn't have the ability to catch it. I heard from my brother and sister that there are even bigger ones. It's just that I haven't seen them yet. When treating people to a meal, I naturally have to treat them with good things. I can't take out ordinary things. Even the child of a provincial governor can be so arrogant. I am the child of a minister. You still remember this? Li Longji was speechless. He kicked my snowman. Why wouldn't I remember him? I have decided. In the future, I will not say who I am first. I will look for children to play with. When I meet an arrogant child, I will investigate his family. I will teach those officials not to educate their children properly. Xiao Bei revealed his new method of catching officials and starting with their children. Let's see who dares to compare their fathers to him. I won't kill him. Li Longji felt sorry for the officials of the Tang Dynasty. They had met people like Xiao Bei. Their future days would not be easy. However, he had to persuade Xiao Bei not to waste his time. Xiao Bei, actually, the people you met are rare. Many officials have good family upbringings. If you look around, how can you find them? You should think of other ways. Don't always think of going far away. Follow your brother and sister and learn more skills. I know, but I am annoyed by people like this. I will not deliberately look for them. If I don't meet them, then so be it. If I meet one, I will catch one. Uncle Emperor, I understand. You didn't give us officials to catch people every day. It's just to protect my brother and sister. But since I am in this position, I have to do something. I want to let the people know that they have a good emperor. The emperor has sent 9 officials who are very honest. They are not afraid of threats or bribes. I have to help you build a good reputation. Xiao Bei cleverly revealed the reason why Li Longji had arranged officials for them. When he heard this, Li Longji was stunned. He secretly decided that in the future, if Xiao Bei and the others caught officials, they would be punished even more severely. Chapter 979. The next day, light snow fell from the sky, making the already cold Jili state even colder. Fortunately, the sea was not frozen yet, so Zhang Xiaobao and the others headed towards the Yalu River. A large number of people were left in Jili state. Xiao Bei insisted on following them, so he had to bring the 9 of them along. The 2 younger ones were handed over to Empress Wang to wait in Jili state. When they were on the ship, Zhang Xiaobao got the news that the cartoon for Xiao Bei and the others was ready. Many pieces of glass were connected to each other, waiting for Xiao Bei and the others to watch. Xiao Bei was very regretful. He chose not to go back to watch the cartoon, but to continue to the Tianqi Lake. This was because if he turned back, his brother and sister would not be able to follow him, and the cartoon would be boring. Li Longji asked a few more questions. He was mainly concerned about his image and voice so that everyone in the Tang Empire could see it. Zhang Xiaobao explained patiently that what Xiao Bei and the others saw was not an authentic movie. It was a very troublesome thing to make using a very expensive method, and they would know what it looked like when they went back. However, Li Longji still liked to ask. He asked twice a day for 3 days in a row. When they reached the destination and started to walk on land, he stopped. It was not that he did not want to ask anymore, but that he did not have the energy. The so-called land road did not have a road, it was just a way to walk. Walking along the river, the mountain road was rugged and there was snow. When it snowed in Jili State, it snowed heavily here. The snow was so thick that if one stepped on it, the deeper the snow would reach one's thigh. Li Longji also wanted someone to carry him. It was comfortable to carry him, but he was worried that the person who carried him would not pay attention and throw him out. He would be buried in the snow and could not be found. Just like that, the group walked for more than a li before Zhang Xiaobao stopped. No, I think I will die of exhaustion on the road. If I had known, I would have brought the sled dog. Get on the skateboard and ask someone to get it from the ship. There are some on the ship. Li Longji remained silent. He didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan hadn't considered this. They were clearly tormenting him so that he, the emperor, would know how difficult it was to descend the mountain. After waiting for someone to bring the skis, Li Longji put them on. As he walked, he asked, "Xiaobao, can we make it today?" "No, I'm afraid we'll have to set up shop in the snow tonight." "Don't worry, I'm fully prepared. I've already thought about how to deal with it before I came here," Zhang Xiaobao replied casually. "Then did you ever think that I would walk through a mile of snow? Since you've already thought about it, why don't you just get someone to bring the skis?" Li Longji finally found the contradiction in Zhang Xiaobao's words. Zhang Xiaobao paused. He had indeed done it on purpose, but he wouldn't admit it. He didn't expect Li Longji to remember this and was waiting for him to say it out loud. "It's like this. I started thinking that since there was snow, it wouldn't be easy to see it, especially with such heavy snow. If I didn't properly experience it, I would be letting myself down. I also thought that the snow wasn't that deep and could kill Xiao Bei and the others. Your Majesty, think about it. If I knew, how could I not consider my younger brother and sister?" They disappeared when they entered a deep area. Xiao Bei also struggled to paddle and agreed with his brother. "That's right, it's really deep. It's really dangerous." "What's so dangerous about it? You had someone carry you," Li Longji retorted. "It's more dangerous if 2 people fall in together." Xiao Bei's reasoning was very strong. Li Longji didn't want to waste his energy talking, so he nodded in agreement. Seeing Xiao Bei walking on the snow so easily, he suddenly felt curious. "Xiao Bei, aren't you tired? Why do I see that you're so relaxed?" "Am I tired? I'm just a child. How can I not be tired when I have to travel such a long distance with adults? I'm relaxed because I'm young. When the wind blows, you're all grown up and need to withstand the wind. Uncle Emperor, don't you think so?" Only Xiao Bei's eyes were exposed. The rest of her body was completely covered. When she spoke, her voice was very muffled. There were actually things on her eyes, but she didn't wear them. At first, Li Longji felt that it made sense, but then he realized that there was a proportion between adults and children when they were blown by the wind. Moreover, adults were stronger. Xiao Bei and the others weren't wearing the same skis as adults, so there was a proportion between them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to walk. With doubts in his heart, he continued to walk forward. As he walked, Xiao Nan was careless and lost his balance. He cried out and fell sideways. Someone immediately went forward to help him. When Li Longji looked over, he noticed something different. The bottom of Xiao Nan's skis wasn't flat. Instead, there was a row of barbs. They were going uphill now. When walking with skis, most of them had to walk sideways. They also had to exert force in their hands and compete with the ski pole on each side. Seeing the situation of Xiao Nan's skis, Li Longji turned his head and said to Xiao Bei, "Raise one of your feet sideways and let me see." Xiao Bei obediently raised one of her feet. "Let's see. Why do your skis have barbs?" Li Longji asked again. "To save energy. Otherwise, how could I walk so easily?" Xiao Bei said as if he didn't understand such a simple principle. Li Longji was angered by Xiao Bei's words. Yes, I'm too stupid." In order to relax, Xiao Bao. The last two words, Xiao Bao, were shouted. Fortunately, there was no snow on the mountain nearby. Otherwise, everyone would be buried and never be able to return. The upper echelons of Japan and Xinluo would be overjoyed. "Your Majesty, you called for me?" Zhong Xiaobao came over. "Raise your feet and let me see." Li Longji said this first. Zhong Xiaobao raised one of his feet. "Mine doesn't have anti-slip teeth. It's to train the body. It's not good to wear that thing." "Wear?" Li Longji found the keyword. "Yes, wear it. You can take it off at any time. Otherwise, what if you encounter a downhill? Your Majesty, do you want to wear one?" Zhong Xiaobao introduced calmly. He didn't say why he didn't take it out previously. It seemed that it was right not to take it out. At this moment, Li Longji hated Zhong Xiaobao to death. "Xiaobao, I want to go to Tianqi to take a look. I don't want to waste time on the road." "Understood. Wear it, everyone." "But Xiao Bei and the others won't be able to keep up." "Sir, pull them a little." Zhong Xiaobao agreed very quickly. As a result, everyone's walking became easier, and their speed increased. Xiao Bei and the other 9 children were tied by the adults, so it was easier for them to follow behind. Even so, they wouldn't be able to reach Tianqi in one day. Although they came by the Yalu River and Tianqi was the source, the boat was too big. They couldn't cross over for fear of hitting the rocks. That night, everyone lit a fire and set up a tent. They even took out a hot pot to eat. Just as Zhong Xiaobao said, they were well prepared. The next day, everyone was still resting on the road. It wasn't until the afternoon of the next day that they saw a row of barracks in front of them. Seeing the barracks, Li Longji knew that they had arrived. He heaved a sigh of relief and said, "I'll come again next time. No matter what, I won't come in winter." "Your Majesty, we came at the wrong time this year. It hasn't frozen yet. We will probably see some ice when we go back. It's warm this year. If we really catch up with the ice, the scenery will be good. We can play ice skating on the river." Zhong Xiaobao introduced at the side. In fact, he didn't dare to let Li Longji go up when it was frozen. If he fell, how would he save him? Not to mention others, even Xiao Bei wouldn't be able to hold on for long if she fell in. That was a hole. Of course, if the water wasn't flowing fast, Xiao Bei could swim back to the hole and stick her head out to breathe. "I have to go up quickly. It's already frozen. I took a look with my binoculars just now. It's reflective, but it might not be enough for people to stand on. When we go back, remember to build an ice skating rink in the palace. I want the kind that can skate in summer. All the money will be paid by you. Don't take my money." Li Longji was exhausted from walking. He was really training his body. He estimated that he would have to rest for a long time when he reached the mountain. He had never suffered like this before. Zhang Xiaobao was too much. All right, then don't build it in the palace. Build it outside so that others can skate. The Ministry of Works has good technology. We can make more ice skates. It won't be as tiring as before. Zhang Xiaobao answered straightforwardly. Li Longji thought that he had taken advantage of the situation and was in a better mood. He felt that he had more energy when he walked. However, after walking for less than 20 steps, he stopped and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "I agree that you can build the ice skating rink. I agree to let you build the ice rink outside, but, when you're operating outside, the money you earn will belong to me. Whether it's the ice skates sold inside, the snacks you make outside, or the advertisements for the merchants, I want them all." After saying those words, Li Longji finally felt relieved. He had almost been cheated again. Places in Beijing were precious, and if Xiaobao were to use his name to build an ice rink, wouldn't he be taking advantage of the situation? Fortunately, he was smart enough to think of the key points. It wasn't easy. He had improved a lot compared to before. Zhang Xiaobao smiled and nodded. "All right, I'll let your Majesty have all the expenses for these 3 items. There are a total of 4 items. Your Majesty, think about it again. What else do you need? The rest of the income will belong to me." Li Longji's happy mood changed again. He felt that Zhang Xiaobao had other ways to earn money, but he couldn't think of where. "Don't be in a hurry to say. Let me think about it. Logically speaking, there's no other way to earn money. We can't just sell warm clothes outside. Even if we sell them, it will be considered the income of the surrounding shops. Even if we don't open a shop, it will still belong to me. Think about it, I have to think about it. Li Shi, come over and help me think." Li Longji was ready to accept a big challenge. At least, that was what he thought. As the saying goes, one person's head is short. Bring Gao Li Shi over and everyone can discuss it. When Gao Li Shi heard this, he also fell into deep thought. Where could he earn money? What a difficult question. Wang Wan laughed at the side. Xiao Bei also tried hard to think, but after a while, he couldn't think of anything. He went to his sister and whispered, "Sister, how can brother earn money? Not only will your brother make money, but your candy house will also make money." Wang Wan bent down and whispered the same words. Candy house? Why? Xiao Bei felt that it was very strange. What did the ice rink have to do with his precious candy house? If the candy house sold candy, wouldn't it be counted as Uncle Emperor's? Because during the children's competition, you can say that it was sponsored by your precious candy house. Those who get in the top few can go to your candy house to eat candy and pastries for free. The children are free, but the adults need money. Won't you be able to sell your set meal? Wang Wan explained to Xiao Bei. Xiao Bei laughed twice, like a fox that had just eaten a chicken. His eyes turned into crescents as he whispered, "Then I will give every child a reward. The first 3 will eat the set meal for free, and the later ones will only be free for their children. The more people in the competition, the more money I will earn. Then, when the adults get in the top few, will they go to Savant's restaurant to eat? No, they will eat by themselves. They are not like children who need to be accompanied by adults. We can give them discount coupons from the supermarket. For example, for every 100 copper coins spent, they can use the coupons to get a discount of 10 copper coins. Some people may only spend the coupons and not buy any more, while some people will buy more things. Shopping is addictive." Wang Wan explained again. Xiao Bei was full of admiration. As expected of Big Brother and Big Sister, "You are really amazing. Uncle Emperor is so pitiful." "Forget it, I will help Uncle Emperor." After Xiao Bei finished speaking, he ran to Li Longji's side and said to Li Longji, "Uncle Emperor, I thought of something. It's like this, I will advertise inside. I will pay for the advertisement and then write that if you eat the candy house, you will not be afraid of the cold when playing. What do you think? You can also ask for this, Won't it be fine? Li Longji listened carefully. After listening to it, he pondered and said to Xiao Bei, "You little rascal, how can we take the money from the merchants? I thought you really came to help us, but it turns out that you came up with a bad idea." Then, who would advertise inside? Oh, that's right. Uncle Emperor is really smart. Then I will think again. Xiao Bei chuckled and ran to Wang Wan's side, meaning that he also cheated a bit, but was seen through by Uncle Emperor. When Li Longji saw Xiao Bei's expression, he was once again amused. He said to Zhang Xiaobao, "All right, I promise you. As for the rest of the money, you can take it yourself. I can see that none of you are good people." "Really? Since it is like this subject will first invite your Majesty to be the special guest of the first ice event. This subject has more events, including short-track speed skating, long-distance skating, relay, adult group, children group, ice dance, and so on. This subject even includes class training. When the time comes, your Majesty can go and take a look. You can get a red packet. When the time comes, you will think that it is very interesting. Do you think that it is very interesting to take advantage of you?" Li Longji knew that he did not think of anything. Fortunately, there would be many people watching, and the tickets would be expensive. The money would belong to him. No, how can this subject think like that? This subject is also helping your Majesty to earn money. With the competition, the clothes worn by the participants will be sponsored and advertised. Your Majesty's income will be higher. Zhang Xiaobao would not admit it no matter what. In fact, there were other ways to earn money. Ordinary people could not make ice skates, and the quality of steel was not good, but the Ministry of Works could. When the time came and ice sports became prosperous because of Li Longji's support, they could sell ice skates. They did not have to sell them next to the ice rink, as long as there was ice. Li Longji lost for a while again. Even if he could earn money, he was not very happy. When Xiao Bao mentioned it, he thought of it. Why did he not think of it when he did not mention it? It seemed that he was just a little bit away. While they were talking, they had already arrived at the military camp. All of the soldiers guarding the mountain were in position. There were a total of 75 people, which was just enough to form a team. There were also 20 or so people who were in charge of doing miscellaneous chores, recording the weather, surveying the terrain, and so on. They were all waiting for the emperor to arrive. The soldiers were wearing thick military uniforms and gloves that separated the fingers to make it easier to fire the gun. They were also wearing hats with ears. When they breathed, the tips of their hats and eyebrows turned white. Just like Li Longji and the others, they were very cold. When Li Longji came closer, all of the soldiers saluted with their guns. The clicking sounds were very synchronized, and it made them look even more formidable. Not bad. The soldiers of Great Tang are all good. It has been hard on you to guard this place. As Li Longji spoke, he took out his hands from his gloves and patted the shoulders of the 75 soldiers. Occasionally, he would stop to help a soldier adjust his hat and clothes. In fact, the soldiers had already adjusted their clothes and hats. How could they not notice the emperor's appearance? He was just putting on an act. Even so, the soldiers were very touched. Tears welled up in their eyes, and they felt that it was worth it to guard this cold and high place. Li Longji walked up to the commander and asked with concern, "Is your daily life very tough?" The commander shook his head. "It's not tough. It's just that it's cold outside. When we're on guard duty, we're very diligent. It's fine as long as we don't stay outside for too long." "Is there nothing good to eat?" Li Longji asked again. Zhang Xiaobao continued, "Your Majesty, how is that possible? They're the soldiers under Cuckoo's command. How can Cuckoo and I not provide them with good food and drinks? Not to mention other things, if there's any lack of green in their food during winter, I'll close down all of the restaurants." The commander nodded his head vigorously in agreement. Oh. Li Longji suddenly understood. Right, Cuckoo was in charge of this place, so it was impossible for the soldiers to lack good food and drink like in other places. Otherwise, the signboards between the clouds and the water and blue sea silver sand would all be smashed. Wait for me to ask, Li Longji said to Zhang Xiaobao, then asked, what about heating and rest? In response to your Majesty's question, we have coal for heating and firewood collected in the summer. Military Commander Wang specially built a boiler for us and installed it 10 days ago. It's more convenient than the previous Kong bed. There are 3 thick beds and we can change the covers. We'll be fine even if we stand outside for a couple of hours. We're wearing thick felt shoes, cotton socks, and cashmere sweaters. Don't worry, Your Majesty, we'll be able to hold on and live a good life. The commander excitedly explained the situation, then turned around and ran into the house. When he came back, he was holding a few cans in his hands. He stood in front of Li Longji again and introduced them. We also have all kinds of cans, including canned fruit. As for the meat, other than the game we hunted ourselves, we also have all kinds of meat-making tools sent by Shanxian. We can make our own sausages and ham. Li Longji realized that he shouldn't have asked. He reckoned that Xiao Bao and Cuckoo treated the people guarding the mountain according to the welfare of the inner courtyard. As expected, when he swept his gaze, he saw 2 people wearing light green clothes in the crowd, indicating that they were doctors. He could only ask about other things. Are there any more small problems? In response to Your Majesty's question, there are, and they're not small problems, the commander replied seriously. Chapter 980. When Li Longji asked the question, he thought that the other party would say that it was nothing and that they didn't need to worry about food and lodging. What trouble could there be? Who would have thought that the team leader would have a big trouble? Please tell me. When Li Longji was speaking to the team leader, he reached out and pulled Zhang Xiaobao to the front. Zhang Xiaobao was depressed. Why did you drag me out when you're asking me what trouble it is? Why don't I ask it myself? Why do you want me to solve the problem after you ask? Do you want me to be the good guy? Revenge. It must be revenge for the ice skating rink incident. The team leader could guarantee that he didn't see the emperor's actions. He respectfully replied, Your Majesty, the trouble comes from... Sir Su, are you here? I'm here to send you fish. Before the team leader could finish his sentence, a voice resounded through the mountains. Zhang Xiaobao's heartbeat suddenly quickened. There was already snow here, and it looked like it had been there for a long time. If there was a sudden crash and a part of the mountain collapsed, Tang Empire would be in chaos. Fortunately, the mountain was still firm and didn't move at all. Your Majesty, the trouble is here. The team leader first said to Li Longji, then shouted in the direction of the voice, Don't shout, come over. Everyone looked over and saw 6 or 7 silhouettes coming out. When they got closer, they could see clearly that there were 8 people. They were wearing clothes of various colors, and with a single glance, it was obvious that they were pieced together from the fur of various animals. Some of them were carrying baskets, some were carrying a roe deer, and there were even 2 people carrying a deer. There was even a wooden basin covered with fur. They were walking very carefully, and there was probably something valuable in it. What's the situation? Zhang Xiaobao pulled out a dagger and asked. He didn't want to shoot in a snowy area. If there was no other way, he would fight hand to hand. He was confident that he could take down 2 people in a single move. Xiao Bei also took out her slingshot that couldn't even kill a bird without hitting its head. Regardless of whether it was strong enough or not, its reaction speed was definitely top-notch. Don't, little young master. Be merciful. He has a hard life. The captain hurriedly stopped him and explained, There used to be other people here. They were Momo's people. After that, the local forces were all destroyed by you and Cuckoo. They were also willing to listen to you. In addition to the benefits given, they gathered together and formed a few counties. The Xinlua people also took advantage of the opportunity to come. In the past, they had conflicts with the Tao Wu, and it was easy for them to die on the mountain. After the Tao Wu left, they were safe. Unless they were careless, no one would die. Last year, it was even later than this time. There were 5 people coming up the mountain. When we were patrolling, we discovered that one of them had fallen ill. We couldn't just leave him to die, so the patrolling people carried him back. He was saved by the Wei medical doctor who stayed behind last year. We still have to provide them with food. This shows how capable your families are and how much care they have for us. Normally, after eating the food that we eat, they are reluctant to leave. Since then, they always come. Sometimes they come in large groups, sometimes they come in small groups. Sometimes they come in groups of 2 or 3, but most of them come in groups of 50 or 60. Every time they come, they bring things and come to us to ask for our usual meals. Hearing this, Li Longji nodded in agreement. How could the food provided by the Zhang family and the Wang family be ordinary? It was even to the extent that it was made according to everyone's taste. Otherwise, how could there be such loyal people? Even if the military camp couldn't make the food according to everyone's taste, it wouldn't be much different. If the Xinhua people saw it, wouldn't they think that it was the most delicious thing in the world? According to what you said, you think it's troublesome for them to come and exchange for food? Zhang Xiaobao made a hand gesture, asking the guards to let them in. He didn't believe that 8 people could do anything to threaten Li Longji. No, they are coming. You will know when you hear it. The leader stepped forward and stood a few steps forward. The soldiers in the team also protected the emperor. The guards closest to Li Longji didn't move. If they moved, they would be killed. For them, there was no concept of subduing. The 2 fast gunmen also put their left hand on the forearm of their right hand that was holding the gun. Mao Zi, stand still first. Don't move. Don't move. Yes, little by little. Slowly take off the weapons in your hands and on your body and gently put them on the ground. When you put them down, don't look up. Xiao Wu, Xiao Qi, go and search them. When the leader saw that the 8 people were closer, less than 30 steps away, he nervously shouted. He didn't want to see the other party be killed directly. There was no need to think about what the guards around the emperor and the 11 children of the Zhang family and the Wang family looked like. The person called Mao Zi was very obedient. He also felt that the situation was not right. There were too many people. At a rough glance, there were at least 800 if not 1,000 people. He said a few words to the 7 people around him and slowly put everything down. As expected, he didn't look up. He waited for the 2 soldiers guarding the mountain to search him again before he was allowed to move forward. When he was 20 steps away, the leader leaned over and whispered, Mao Zi, be careful what you say. His Majesty is here in person. Also, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan from between the clouds and the water and their younger brothers and sisters are all here. Stay calm. Don't make any big movements. While the leader was talking, Mao Zi's body began to pile up. He hurriedly reached out to support him. Mao Zi's legs began to tremble. If he really sat down, the guards would probably think that he was going to do something and directly kill him. Su. Military Master Su, you are not kidding me, right? I am timid. His Majesty is here? Zhang Xiao, Xiaobao and the others are here too? It's so cold. Why are they climbing up the mountain? Mao Zi didn't need the leader to say more. He already knew what he should do. He had to hold on. He couldn't make any big movements. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to go back alive. He came to see our people guarding the mountain. Young Master Zhang said that the entire mountain belongs to the Tang Empire. Let's see if we have guarded it. The leader puffed out his chest and looked very proud. The emperor had brought Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family to see. How big of a face did he have? It could scare people to death. It has always been like this. We only came here to hunt. The other side of the Huangshui and the Muddy River is Xian Luo. The rest is all yours. Xian Luo is far from here. When a person is overly frightened, they can sometimes suddenly become calm and steady. Kat belonged to this type of person. Her speech was much smoother and her mind was more open. The worst that could happen was death. Moreover, the other party did not say that they wanted her life. The leader knew what River Mao Zi was talking about. It was indeed quite a distance from here, but he had to explain, "Didn't we just stabilize not long ago? So the emperor came to take a look. Don't say anything wrong later, especially children. Don't provoke them. Let's go. I'll go over. Stop 10 steps away. I'll instruct them." Mao Zi turned around and came near the other 7 people who were puzzled. They didn't hear what he said just now. Zhang Xiaobao saw that the 7 people slowly squatted down and raised their palms outwards. They lowered their heads and looked at the ground. The person called Mao Zi must have explained it to them clearly. After Mao Zi arranged for the 7 people, he simply took off his outer coat, revealing a patched short shirt inside. It showed that he didn't have any weapons. Only then did he follow the leader to a distance of 10 steps away from Li Longji. This distance was the best distance for a fast shooter to react. It was accurate and the reaction time was enough. As soon as Mao Zi arrived, he knelt there without other people's instructions and kowtowed 3 times in a row. The snow where he kowtowed became hard. "Your Majesty, I didn't know that your Majesty was here. I've offended you. I'll be sentenced to death." Li Longji nodded happily. He didn't think that the other party really wanted to die. However, the other party was from Xian Luo. He recognized him as the emperor and kowtowed sincerely. As soon as he was happy, he looked at Zhang Xiaobao and said, "Reward, a set of clothes." Since there were outsiders around, Zhang Xiaobao was very respectful. He immediately made a hand gesture and someone brought out a set of clothes and a cloth according to the cat's figure. He walked over to the cat and whispered a few words. The cloth was wrapped around the cat. When Mao Zi came out, he looked completely different from head to toe. He adhered to the style of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family, except for Xiao Bei and the other 9 people. The clothes were fitting, comfortable, and not ostentatious. However, Mao Zi didn't think so. He braved the cold to change. "What material is this? Why is it so soft? It's warm. The things from Tang are the best. Furthermore, this is a gift from the Tang Empire's emperor. This set of clothes is comfortable to wear for a while. I have to take it off and take it back." Li Longji saw that the other party was nimble and nodded in satisfaction. "Come closer and talk." Zhang Xiaobao cursed in his heart. He and Wang Wan quickly moved a step in front of Li Longji. If they moved any closer, it would be difficult for the fast gunner to judge and it would be easy to misfire. Furthermore, the fast gunner's identity wasn't suitable to be in front of them. It was the same for the other bodyguards. Only Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stood there so that others wouldn't feel alienated. Their identities were also extraordinary. It gave people the feeling that the 3 big shots of Tang were meeting together. Mao Zi was really excited. He didn't know Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, but from their positions just now, he could feel that their status was second only to the Emperor of Tang. Looking at their ages, it wasn't difficult to guess who they were. He moved forward again, little by little. When he was 5 steps away from Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, he stopped when Li Longji opened his mouth to speak. The distance was so close that Mao Zi could even see Li Longji's eyelashes clearly. For some reason, he suddenly had the thought of dying for the Emperor of Tang at any time. If it was his own Xinluo, he wouldn't even stand so close to a chief, let alone a king. He was afraid that he would cause harm to others. But the Emperor of the Great Tang, as well as the most formidable Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, had allowed him to stand at this distance and not go any further. That would be sticking to him. How magnanimous did one have to be to do this? Of course, he knew that if he wanted to do something dangerous, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan could make him bleed on the spot within a second. The 2 of them didn't have much strength when they were young, but they could deal with the Emperor's bodyguards when they cooperated with each other with hidden weapons, let alone when they grew up. "Your Majesty, Jidushi Zhang, Jidushi Wang, I'm from Xinluo. I'm here to send something to Captain Su and the others who are guarding the mountain." I don't know, Your Majesty." Mao Zi, who had become bold because of the pressure, was once again at a loss because of Li Longji's friendliness. He stuttered when he spoke. This time, it wasn't because he was scared, but because he was excited. Li Longji understood and made a gesture of pressing down with his hand, indicating that the other party shouldn't be anxious. He said, Xinluo is a vassal state of Tang. I'll have to trouble the soldiers on the mountain. I saw that you brought deer and roe deer. I'll try it today and let Xiao Bao make it. You can eat with me. Consider it as me taking advantage of you. I'll return the favor later. When Mao Zi heard Li Longji's words, he started crying. He wiped his tears and said, Your Majesty, I don't want to stay in Xinluo. I want to come to Tang. I begged Captain Su for half a year. He said he couldn't make the decision. I looked for him but couldn't find anyone else. I could only come here to ask him. Your Majesty, you can consider me as someone from Tang. This time, Li Longji knew what the trouble was. Captain Su couldn't agree as he didn't have the authority. That was a diplomatic dispute. Speaking of which, the trouble was indeed not small. Seeing the other party crying and begging, Li Longji sighed in his heart. He knew very well what the reason was. It was Xiao Bao's plan to destroy the family. He gave them food and then made them grow cotton. How many years had it been? He had already reached the point of forcing them with food. Compared to that swindler in Yuanzhou, Xiao Bao was a truly ruthless person. What was there to be proud of by scamming the officials and commoners of an entire prefecture? Xiao Bao was scheming for the country. Otherwise, how could he be on the top of the list of tycoons? Zhang Xiaobao, who knew Li Longji very well, did not need to turn around to know what Li Longji was thinking. He said, Your Majesty, this subject is willing to listen to orders and help the people of the vassal countries. Your Majesty, please make a decision. Li Longji returned to reality from his thoughts and nodded lightly. Very well, I have a plan. Let the people of the Great Tang and the people of Xinluo build a county together and rule it together. Xiaobao, what do you think? Zhang Xiaobao quickly answered, Your Majesty is wise. The others followed suit and shouted, Your Majesty is wise. Only Xiao Bei and the other 9 did not shout, especially Xiao Bei. She was studying hard. Uncle Emperor was really amazing. At the very least, he was thick-skinned. This was clearly an idea of her brother and sister. Uncle Emperor actually took it for himself and said it in such a righteous manner. Cat did not know what was going on. He had just made a request and the Emperor of Tang immediately came up with a plan. It was too amazing. No wonder he was the emperor, and he was from a strong country like Tang. He thought that this was an idea specially made for him. Cat was so grateful that he did not know what to do. He wanted to kneel, but he was afraid that his movements would be too big and his clothes would be dirty. If he did not kneel, he would not show respect. Therefore he did an unimaginable action. He put his feet on the ground and spread his hands apart. It was a push-up position. He let his head touch the ground as a kowtow. Zhang Xiaobao was full of admiration. Could this be the legendary prostration? Xiao Bao, you do the specific things. I believe you can do it well. Li Longji spoke again. He did not forget to tell Cat to get up. Cat straightened up and looked at his clothes to see if they were dirty. Seeing that there were only a few spots of snow, he was relieved and became calm again. Your Majesty said it well. Not only the people, but also the people of many places. They have long wanted to come to Tang. If they continue to stay in Xinluo, they will not be able to survive. Why can't they survive? Didn't they give you food? Li Longji asked. He was really puzzled. Xiao Bao had given a lot of food. Although they could always use food as a threat, it had not been implemented yet. They had just planned to implement it this year, so how could they starve? Cat sighed, they did, but they did not directly give it to us. They gave it to the chief, the village chief, or some noble or county magistrate. Their houses have many more exquisite furniture from Tang, so we have less food. Before winter came, we gave them a little. Last summer, in June and July, there were many wild vegetables. We did not see a grain of rice for a month. Li Longji understood. The food must have been taken by the officials to the border to be sold at a very low price. Then, they could buy expensive luxury goods. Your Majesty did not send people to investigate? Li Longji asked. Yes, but our Xinlua does not have 3 rounds like the Tang patrol. We will only send 1 round, so this round of people will have many exquisite things. Our Xinlua does not have a patrol like Xiao Bei, nor do we have people like Xiao Bei's family's intelligence system. Needless to say, we can bribe at least 300,000 strings of coins every year. Even 300 strings of coins can be bribed. Cat had already seen a group of children. When he spoke, he glanced again. Xiao Bei stood at the front and returned a bright smile, like a sunflower. Li Longji and the other officials were silent after hearing this. They all understood that Xiao Bei and the other 9 Tang patrol were special existences. They could not be threatened, let alone bribed. When Shuichiro Watanabe stretched out a finger, Xiao Bei thought it was 100 million strings of coins. Later, he guessed that it was 10 million strings of coins, which was already the bottom line. But who could take out 10 million strings of coins to bribe? That was 10 billion strings of coins. Not to mention a province or a prefecture, even an official in charge of a road, could he take it out? The richest, Jiangnan Road or Jiangyi Road, could take it out, but the premise was that they did not hand over a single coin and gave it all to Xiao Bei. What was the official after? He could not be greedy for money himself. Moreover, it was impossible to do so. What kind of joke was that if a place did not hand over any revenue? The entire Tang Empire's revenue this year was only 130 million strings of coins. It was estimated that the Zhang family and Wang family earned about half of this amount this year. There was also the 100 million strings of coins from the Great Tang Bank. This was the confidence of Xiao Bei and the other 8 patrol. They were so rich that they could rival a country. Why would they bribe? Li Longji waited for a long time. When Cat could not wait any longer, he said, "Come to the Tang Empire. With Xiao Bei and the others here, I will let Xiao Bei watch over the officials in the new district. What do you think?" "Thank you, Your Majesty. If you really let Xiao Bei take care of it, I will definitely take the initiative to pay the rent. There is no need for others to collect it. I will send it up myself. It will only be more and not less." Cat's face turned red. Xiao Bei, that was Xiao Bei. They did not really need to take care of it. As long as they had a name, which official would dare to touch them? Xiao Bei was very embarrassed because his sister had said that in the future, even if it was 100 million strings of coins, he would not accept it. He had been greedy at that time. He turned to look at the other 8 people. Xiao Yuan and the other 8 people looked like they wanted him to make the decision. Xiao Bei stood up and walked to the front shyly. "Uncle Emperor, in the future, even if it is 100 million strings of coins, we will not accept it. We will not accept money with the premise of harming the people of the Tang Empire. I suggest that we let this person be the county magistrate of the new district. When the time comes, we will only watch him. If he becomes greedy, we will add all the hatred he had for the officials today to him. Cat, what do you think? When the time comes, it is not just death. Sometimes, death is a kind of happiness." You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.